the courts and the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson
on the Fan Upstate.
If you allow a team to get off to a good start and they're feeling pretty good about themselves, it's not going to be easy.
Are we sure that Clemson is an NCAA tournament team? Are we really sure? Tolos, 844-326-3663. The Clemson Tigers have now lost 3 straight. They have allowed 3 incredible offensive performances in a row. Not good for a team that prides itself on suffocating defense. Wake was red hot in the first half of that game. You can't take that away from them, but they are an awful basketball team overall. There is no excuse for Brad Brownell and his squad to have lost to Wake Forest last night on the road. Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Diesel. He's Cole Bryson. Final from Winston-Salem. Wake Forest 85, Clemson 77.
How do you define tournament team? Because you could look at it 2 different ways. Number one, you could look at it and say a team that's getting into the tournament team, right? Basic definition. Yeah. Or you could say, I think a tournament team means a team that's actually built for the tournament that can make a run in the tournament.
I would say no to both of those.
Well, I look at those 2 different ways. I think, Diesel, let's answer your question first. You're saying no to both?
I'm saying no to both.
I'm saying yes to they're in the tournament because of what they've done. I don't think you can dismiss all the wins in the ACC this season. Now, if they falter down the next, 4? Yeah. We'll have a different conversation. But I will say no to the latter and thinking, hey, guess what? I'm not changing anything I've said for 2 months now. They're a good basketball team. Defensively, at times, they're really, really good. But we've talked about it on this show for 2 months. Nothing's changed. We just didn't know how this team would perform against the likes of Duke. We thought the Virginia Tech game was just a trip up, but I don't know that it was just a trip up. That's the problem.
Well, it looks now after the last 3 games that Clemson's great season was built on a foundation of sand because, we talked about it last week, Cole. You look up and down their schedule. They haven't exactly played a murderer's row all season long, and when they've faced quality opponents, almost every single time they've lost. They only have 2 ranked wins this season. So not a good resume, I think, when you take that 10,000-foot view and you take that step back and look at it, you say, well, yeah, it's impressive that they rallied off 9 in a row. That's awesome. It's not an easy thing for any team to do. But who did they do it against? Are we really giving them NCAA tournament credit for going on that run against the teams that they did? Now, you're right. What happens over these next 4 games is now mission critical. You got 4 games to go. Louisville, North Carolina, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Not in that order. It's actually Florida State, Louisville, North Carolina, Georgia Tech. They lose 2 of those games, Cole, and then they look really bad in the ACC tournament, maybe a one and done in the first round. I think they are squarely on the bubble and probably an NIT team at that point.
Well, see, I've been on the side that you're on who did you play against, who did you get wins against. I'm with you on that. But talking about some other teams a little bit lower in conference yesterday, Diesel, you said, no, those teams, hey, they took care of business against who they were supposed to play. So which way are we going to decide here? Because I'm with you. I know it's not impressive when you beat up on a bunch of nobodies, but at the same time, I hope the committee has the same standard for a Miami of Ohio that they would have for Clemson and saying, hey, they beat who's on the schedule, and that in itself is enough to get them into the tournament. I don't think they're going to make a run. I don't. But no. I just think that ultimately you're seeing what this team lacks when they play really good competition.
4-5 right now in quad 1 games. Somehow, some way, last night's Wake Forest game counted as a quad 1 game because Wake has actually been playing better over the last couple of weeks, Cole. They've improved, but still, you get off to a slow start. To be the opposite of what Brad Brownell said there, you get off to a slow start, and it really is hard to come back and have a positive body of work. Wake Forest is certainly doing everything they can, beating a Clemson team. Look, when you come out in the first half, if you're Wake Forest, and you shoot 66% from the floor, you're going to be successful, right? Yeah. Any team that's shooting 66% from the floor is going to be successful. Virginia Tech did the very same thing. Duke is Duke. They're a really good shooting team. So, them hitting a high clip is not really all that shocking. But now it's happened 3 games in a row. So is Clemson just unfortunate in that they got Virginia Tech at home, Wake Forest on the road on nights where both of those teams were shooting well above what they had been shooting all season long? Or is Clemson's defensive struggles right now the cause of why those teams might be hitting a higher clip? I mean, 66%, that is white hot no matter how you look at it.
It is, and I think it can be a little bit of both. And I think to kind of answer your question, Diesel, it's sports. Like that is – we see it, man. Like you as a team in Clemson might be really, really good in basketball for a stretch, and then you're going to go through woes in the course of a game. You're going to have woes during the course of a season as well. Unfortunately, I think what we have to understand is going to hurt Clemson the worst, and we talk about this a lot in college football, Diesel. The timing means a lot, too. The timing of when you do well, the timing of when you struggle. It just so happened that the back end of Clemson's schedule was loaded, and we talked about, a month ago, hey, they're playing well, they're winning games, but we're really, really going to know how good this Clemson team is when they play Duke, when they play we didn't think they were going to lose to Wake Forest, but they have North Carolina coming up here in a few weeks, right? Florida State. So we're not surprised that they're losing these games, but we are surprised that they're losing them in the fashion that they are.
So here's that whole clip of audio, played the tiny little bit of it, of Brad Brownell talking about, getting off to a slow start, making it really difficult to come back and win. Here was the entire clip. It's about a minute long of Brad Brownell.
You got to still encourage them. They're getting a taste of reality. It's hard. I think sometimes when you're winning like that, you
sounds like Dabo.
Maybe understand how hard it is to win. You can take it for granted a little bit.
God.
We certainly knew that, watching the clips this morning and the last 2 days, that Wake's been playing really well here this last week. Even the loss to Louisville, I thought they played terrific, competed their tails off, found a way to win against a gritty Stanford team, played great against Georgia Tech. And they kind of continued it. It's so much of this sport is momentum. And sometimes it's not only who you play, but when you play them. And so we're getting Wake at a time when they've kind of regrouped and gathered themselves back, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. And we're going to do the same thing with Florida State on Saturday. And if you allow a team to get off to a good start and they're feeling pretty good about themselves, it's not going to be easy. And that certainly happened to us tonight.
So here's what they got coming up. Florida State, winners of 2 straight. Louisville, who have won 5 of their last 6.
Good coach.
UNC, who may or may not have Caleb Wilson back at the time. Without Caleb Wilson, that game is infinitely more winnable for Clemson. And then Georgia Tech, a team that's really, really struggled, Cole. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they go 2-2 down the stretch, losing to Florida State and Louisville. And if they drop one of those other 2 games, whether it be UNC without their star or Georgia Tech, who have really been on a skid over the last couple of weeks, that's why I'm saying this is a bubble team, in my opinion.
Well, I think that's why I say these next games are ultra, ultra, ultra critical. And look, I just said it a minute ago. I think right now, as of this very moment, they're still in. But guess what? I also said that these next ones are crucial. So, you look at those 4 that you just listed off there. Here's the problem. And when I went a minute ago, when I said this is sometimes just sports, what I mean is in basketball, you sometimes feel like you can't control the momentum like you can in other sports. And here's an example. Clemson playing good against bad teams. I don't want to say bad teams, middle of the road teams early in the season. Things were going right for Clemson. Things were going not so right for the other teams. Almost a perfect marriage. But the longevity of a season, you just can't count on that unless you're a really good team. So the problem is, guess what? When the tide turns and you don't play as well, Diesel, and the other teams are playing well, like Brad Brownell talked about there, what is your answer? What is your secret weapon going to be? And guess what we're learning? Guess what we're seeing? To sum all of this up, we're seeing that when bleep hits the fan for this basketball team, they don't really have that answer. And I think that at times this year, we saw that even in the winning, at least those who don't see everything through orange glasses. We saw that, hey, they're winning, but they don't have that dynamic guy. And now, Diesel, when things aren't going well, really good teams sometimes just get masked Masked by a really good player. Clemson doesn't have that really good player that kind of covers up that right now.
Yeah, Carter Welling gave him 13 last night. Jake Walling gave him 17 points. Ace Buckner gave him 13 points. Good to see Ace Buckner getting back out there and scoring again. Problem is, Justin Porter fell flat. Dylan Hunter fell flat. Both of those guys had significant time on the floor and were not able to put the ball in the hole enough. It's simply, and they didn't give you anything else outside of that. You know, if your stars are having a hard time finding the bottom of the net, they got to be doing other things: hustle plays, rebounds, fighting for balls, getting steals, all of those things. And Justin Porter and Dylan Hunter gave them 7 and 3 respectively. Both of them played 22 minutes in the game. It just wasn't nearly enough, and I don't see those guys giving them enough off ball.
Well, here's what people don't understand sometimes, and here's what people don't see. When you go look at the stat sheet, you can pull up team stats, Diesel. You can read off player stats that you just read off. You can read field goal percentage, three-point percentage, free throw, rebounds, offense, defense, rebound, assists, steals, blocks, turnover, all of that. But what the stat sheet doesn't show in basketball, and I bring this up because I thought it was very important from last night's game, Diesel, the stat sheet doesn't show timely shots. Clemson didn't shoot the ball well from three-point land. Well, they finished the night at a clip of 31%. Not great, not horrendous, but guess what? The timely shots for Clemson weren't there last night because when they came back, again, at halftime, I watched that game. You and I were both watching, and we thought, oh, boy. But I also thought, hey, you know what? Sometimes halftime is the best thing that can happen to a team. And it was. Clemson went on a 12-0, 14-0 run to start the second half. So all was well. But when you go back to those timely shots, you can read a summary, a box score from the end of the game. Sometimes that doesn't tell the full picture. And Clemson's lack and inability to hit those big-time three-pointers, I think it comes down to last night's game especially. They just don't have those clutch, timely shots to show, and that was the reason they couldn't overcome Wake Forest because, like you said, Wake Forest was hitting pretty much everything last night.
Yeah, I mean, they were building brick houses over the last 2.5, 3 minutes of that game. Could not hit a three, could not get a rebound for a second chance opportunity. I mean, there was a possession. I remember it was somewhere around a minute and 20 seconds to go in that game where Wake Forest got 3 different possessions when time was running out. Yeah. Like, you needed to be fighting for those rebounds. Time running out. They were down 8 points or so at that time and kind of hovering at that mark. And they just kept giving up offensive rebounds to Wake Forest. And you cannot do that when you're trying to come back in a game like this. All credit for the way they came out for the first 6-7 minutes of the second half. That was great. But I don't know, man. Maybe they wore themselves out and they just ran out of gas down the stretch, but they certainly didn't have it over the last 5.
They got rebounded. They got out-rebounded defensively on the whole night itself, and you talked about some of those rebounding situations, Diesel, in the second half. But a big part of the problem in the first half was, you know why they couldn't rebound in the first half? Well, there was nothing to rebound. Wake Forest was hitting everything. Wake Forest was hitting field goal percentages and three-point percentages at a higher clip in the first half, obviously, because there's more basketball in the second half. They were hitting, I mean, at half, their final numbers were 55% from the field, and then their three-point numbers was 45% from the field. At half, it was more than 55, and it was more than 45 at the half. So Clemson didn't out-rebound well in the first half. Why? Because Wake Forest was hitting everything. I mean, everything. And give them credit. They're playing well. Like, you look at this on paper and say, well, Wake Forest is what? 14-12, 5-8 in the ACC. They shouldn't be a team that beats a Clemson team that's 20-7. But, man, it's all about getting hot at the right time in basketball. I'm not saying Wake Forest is a tournament team that's going to get hot, but it's also at the same time, while it's about getting hot, it's about finishing strong. And this is why I have major concerns. Going back to your original question, do I think they're a tournament team? I think if they handle business the rest of the way, you said what, 2-2?
I think if they win 2-2 and win a game in the ACC tournament, they're fine.
They're fine.
Anything less than that, they're in deep trouble.
But that doesn't change my opinion. Let's say that happens. Let's say they go 2-2. Let's say they win a tournament game in, was it Durham, wherever they're playing? Charlotte this year. Yeah. They win that tournament game. I still, my opinion's still not changing on what I think they're going to do in the postseason. Even if they were to go win 3, okay, if they win 3 of the next 4, maybe my opinion changes. They're starting to play better. But But
a win over North Carolina, even without Caleb Wilson,
it's still a good win.
On
still
paper.
A good win. And maybe my mind will change a little bit. But right now, again, the same thought process I've had now for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks is, hey, they're good at times, but they don't have that guy. And last night showed that if you don't have that guy and you're going against a team that got really hot in Wake Forest, that's probably going to be called upon again come middle of March when the postseason arrives.
Right. It's one question to say, could they get into the tournament with the resume that they have, depending on what happens? And then the second question is, could they actually win a game in the tournament? And right now, again, all we have is what we have right now. I don't think they're a team that wins a first round game.
Brandon asked, are y'all doing a bracket challenge again for the tourney? On ESPN. Last year we did one on ESPN.
Yeah, we could build our own on ESPN.com.
That's what we did last year.
But this year we haven't gotten any word. In years past, we've done various different bracket challenges on our website at thefanupstate.com. This year we haven't heard about that, so
probably
not
just have to do
through
the
our website,
ESPN.
but we can do it through ESPN.
Yeah, probably have to do it through ESPN or CBS, whatever the better one is. Also, Brandon and anybody else that's a big tournament fan, especially those first 2 days of the tournament, it hadn't hit our inbox yet, but I do know it has been confirmed. We will be having what we are planning on, and it's already been sold from my understanding, that we will be doing a pretty big event the first 2 days of the tournament, which, Diesel, is, matter of fact, 1 month from today. Today's February the 19th. March 19th and March 20th are the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, not the play-in. You know, the play-in's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday. The first actual 2 rounds, the best 2 days in all of sports. The best 2 days in all of sports. March 19th, March 20th. For those that like to get out, watch the games, we'll have a chance to do so with you. Can't give you the details yet because, like I said, it hadn't hit our inbox yet, but when it does, we'll share those details. You'll hear about it very, very soon. But it will not be Diesel and I sitting in these chairs like we are right now. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be out in the community with the Tolos.
Texter says Clemson's best player, Foster, is out. Zach Foster.
Yeah.
Well, Zach Foster got hurt
December,
like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Texter. And part of that time included that run where they won 9 straight games. So, yes, it does hurt to have Zach Foster out, but they were winning without him. And now they're not winning without him.
And that's the thing. And Texter, I brought up, hope you were listening. If not, I'll say it again. I brought this up, Monday or Tuesday on the show. I said losing Zach Foster all season concerned me, but now it's being highlighted even more by the fact that they don't have that dynamic guard they can turn to. So, yes, I agree with you. Foster being out, tearing his ACL, that's detrimental for this team because, to Diesel's point, they were winning without him. They weren't needing him, though. That's the difference. They were winning without him. They didn't need him. Now they need the guy. They need a dynamic on-ball kind of guy, point guard kind of guy that can really be dynamic for this offense. Now they miss him more than ever. That's the problem.
It's very true. We got a big show lined up for you, Tolos. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to have a big guest on the show, John Whittle of the Big Spur, coming up at 3:45. Did you hear what Flau'jae Johnson's mom had to say? It's all over the internet. We're going to talk about that as well.
Also, I want to do a quick prediction on this because you said 2-2 before we end the segment.
Okay.
Let's look here. Clemson's next 4. You're saying 2-2 over the next 4. That obviously heavily depends on if Caleb Wilson plays or not for UNC. They have Florida State Saturday, which I think they win.
At home.
Yep, I think they win that one. They host Louisville next Saturday. Then they're off for a week. That's big. That's big. Could be good.
Spend the week in the gym shooting, guys.
Diesel, I think they beat Florida State. I think there's a good chance they beat Louisville. I do think the safe bet though is what you said, 2-2. I could see a path they go 3-2. And if you told me they are playing North Carolina without Caleb Wilson, I'd say, okay, maybe one of those wins is against North Carolina. But obviously, if he's back, that changes things, right?
So if they lose, Florida State being a team that's playing better right now, and then Louisville after that, if they lose 2 in a row, that's now 5 in a row.
Yeah, I don't think they can lose two more.
I mean, they can beat North Carolina if Caleb Wilson is out. and I'm pretty sure they'll beat. They better beat Georgia Tech, because if they lose to Georgia Tech, that struggled down the stretch, that's a real bad blemish.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've got 4 games left. I think if they lose to Florida State and Louisville, though, back to back, you're concerned. You're majorly concerned, not only about the tournament and what this team does in the tournament, but if what their seeding looks like, bubble team, bubble conversation. Because we talked about the bubble yesterday. This bubble thing, man, it can change fast. What quad you're in? I mean, it's day by day, week by week. So, in a perfect world, I would like for them to. I think in a perfect world, obviously perfect to go 4-0, but do you see? I mean, I can't talk into 3-1. I can't talk into 3-1 over that stretch.
I mean, the way they played the last 3 games, are you sure about how they're going to play against Florida State?
No, I'm not sure.
No, that's the problem.
I think they bounce back and win. And then again, I like that week off between Florida State and Louisville. But I'll tell you this, that week off don't mean much if you can't take care of business against Florida State. So at that point, you'd have lost 4 in a row. They've lost, 3 right now? So, yeah, I think if they beat Florida State on Saturday, okay, we can breathe again, right? But if you don't beat Florida State, then you're sitting there thinking with an entire week off, you don't want to hit that week-long bye without having some kind of good juju. And they need the good juju right now. They desperately do. So we'll see. I think 2-2 is a safe bet, though, for them over the next 4. Diesel, when we come back, I want to look at the weekend sports guide, if you will. What does the weekend bring us from a sports watching perspective? We'll get into it next.
and Upstate.
What is going on this weekend, Diesel, from a sports watching perspective? A little weekend sports guide, and we also want to know from you, Tolos, out there at 844-326-3663, which of these or sports that we didn't mention have your interest this weekend? I think the weather's supposed to be pretty nice this weekend, like 70s today, tomorrow, right? Saturday, too?
I'm going to need it to cool back down, though, because now I'm about to head out on a snowboarding trip. Can't handle this warm weather. Good news is we're going up in the mountains.
That's good.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, at least it'll be, fake snow if you need it to be fake. So might not be the real white stuff, the real white powdery stuff, but at least you'll get some. By the way,
fake powdery stuff, you'll believe that you're
that's right. That's true. That's true. Yeah, you're out. You're out next week. You're leaving me next week. I'm stuck with Dewey next week.
Dewey.
Oh my God. Does Dewey know he's co-hosting with me next week, by the way?
Dewey, can you come in and co-host with Cole in studio?
I couldn't keep it together. I just couldn't. Like, that would
we've had listeners ask for this.
Oh, my
God.
Dewey that would be studio. So bad. I just don't know if he could carry a conversation for 4 hours. That's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't do it. Who was it yesterday? It was Kevin or Tony. It was TA, I believe. He did a pretty good. You like that? Y'all need to be fired. So, Dewey, let me know. Let me know. I'm kidding, kind of halfway, but
good news is there are electronic locks on the doors.
That's true.
And he can't get in.
That's true.
And we have a pit bull guarding the front door.
That's true. Yes, we do. All right, Diesel, a little weekend sports guide for you. What has your interest this weekend? Let's start with the Olympics. I think one thing that's good about the Olympics, and you are more knowing about the Olympics, you have more knowledge about them than I do. I hadn't followed them as well as you have, but maybe momentum from what happened last night that Dan B brought up on the stream could carry into the weekend, right? With the USA getting a big win on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Is momentum real in the Olympics? Is that just does that matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they're in two different cities.
But you're feeling the momentum from the country, though. You don't think that matters?
Well, I mean, the U.S. has pulled within 9 total medals away from Norway. They are still kicking our asses, though.
Oh, overall
gold medals. Yeah. Norway has 34. We have 25. Hey, we could pass the eye ties, though, and come in second place. That'd be nice.
I guess it's better than coming in third, but not according to Ricky Bobby, right?
There was audio, Cole, of a Chinese skier who speaks with a very, very good American accent. So I'm guessing like she grew up in America but is competing for her home country of China. She was asked, she won 2 silver medals in these Olympics, and she was asked, do you feel like you won 2 silvers or lost 2 golds? And she, in the most polite way possible, rips this reporter. And she's like, I worked my entire life to get here. It's amazing to win any medal, to be one of the top 3 performers in the world at this event, at these games. It's an amazing thing. So
she was really asked that.
Yeah, she was really asked.
That's embarrassing. You talk about a bad question yesterday. Oh my gosh.
Here is the audio here. Let's pull this. Her name.
That is bad.
It's going to take here just a second to pull it up. Her name is Eileen Gu. GU. Okay. She shuts down this question.
Do you see these as 2 silvers gained or 2 golds lost?
I'm the most decorated female free skier in history. I think that's an answer in and of itself.
Good for her, man.
How do I say this? Winning a medal at the Olympics is a life-changing experience for every athlete. Doing it 5 times is exponentially harder because every medal is equally hard for me, but everybody else's expectations rise, right? And so the 2 medals lost situation, to be quite frank with you, I think is kind of a ridiculous perspective.
Yes.
So sit down and shut up.
God, she was awesome. Yeah, she's my new favorite Olympian now. That was a great answer. I mean, it was put together. It was also like, wow, she laughed. She made him feel like a piece of crap, hopefully.
Yeah. Think about this. You win a couple of golds. Now everybody has a new target that they have to beat. Now you have to beat, you don't not only have to beat yourself, your own records, you have to beat the people who are beating your records.
Yeah, that's a sad, sad question. Also, the weekend sports guide, Tolos, if you just tuned in, 844-326-3663. If you are sports watching this weekend, what sport is it? What has your interest the most? We'll give you a few options. Let us know on the Joy Law Firm text line. My interest, obviously, a lot at the high school level. Massive playoff games, Diesel, here locally in the upstate on Friday and Saturday throughout every classification. Obviously, Burns on Saturday at 4 o'clock here on the Fan. Upstate's big. Dorman, Spartanburg playing again for the third time tomorrow night at Dorman is even bigger. That is a big-time rivalry game. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. That's huge this weekend. College basketball rounding into turn 4, I guess. You have next weekend, but then some teams like Clemson have an entire week off. It's still a massive weekend in college basketball. We don't equate it the same we do as we do in football, and I don't know why, because we talk about this in football as you enter turn 4 and you're coming down the stretch. Some of these teams are on the playoff bubble, if you will. Well, it's even more so in basketball because you have so many teams that are on that bubble. Yeah, you have more spots, Diesel, but you've got more teams that are on the bubble. In basketball, you feel like we went through some of those teams yesterday. It's a big weekend, and we talked about it with Rocco Miller. I don't know, the biggest game maybe of the entire weekend is Duke, Michigan on what'd you say, Saturday night?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that is just huge in terms of both of those teams are tournament teams. We know that. They're both locks, but you have that mix. You have some teams that have already already ingrained themselves into the tournament, like Duke, like Michigan, yet that's still going to be an incredible basketball game, 2 heavyweights. And then at the same time, you have so many teams that are on the bubble trying to prove that they can. And also you have teams like Clemson who are trying to not get on the bubble, not even get near the bubble. So I think college basketball brings an interesting dynamic, Diesel, because you do have so many teams that get in. And I think what's enjoyable about the sport is this Saturday, that Duke-Michigan game, yes, it's important, but the loser's not going to be punished.
Right.
If this game was in football, if this is Texas and Oregon, the next to last weekend of college football, there's a chance the loser of that game doesn't even get into the college football playoffs. So I guess it just depends what you like. Do you like the pressure at the end of the season like you have in football? Or do you like it like it is now? I like being able to enjoy it without those ramifications in a way too.
Yeah, I think for Duke and Michigan, it serves as a valuable opportunity to play against a team that you haven't had the entire offseason to scout. You don't know their tendencies. It's not been the same head coach that you faced for the last 3 years in a row, twice a year. So it kind of in a very small window kind of way sets you up to say, hey, we got to prepare for this team and this offense quickly, which gives them an opportunity to kind of do a little tournament prep, NCAA tournament prep. By the way, USA, Canada,
I just saw
going
pop
into
up, right?
overtime. This is the gold medal match. USA, Canada women's ice hockey tied 1-1 going into overtime. Canada got a goal, looks like here in the second period. Yeah, Canada scored in the second period. USA came right out of the gate in the third period, scored a goal right around the 18-minute mark. Neither team scored again for the remainder of the game. So tied 1-1, about to go into OT.
Wow.
For
That's
the gold
huge.
medal.
That's huge,
Got to
right?
beat those Canucks.
Man, that's big.
How huge would it be, though, if America won the gold medal in men's hockey and women's hockey?
Yeah.
I mean,
No
this
doubt.
is a sport that we haven't dominated traditionally. So that would be really big for us.
It would be. We'll see if we can get that on TV and find it, see what channel it's on
It's
here
on
in just a minute.
USA.
Okay, I think we get that. Also on the weekend menu, we have NBA regular season resuming. There was a lot more positive buzz. I didn't watch it, though, Diesel, when it comes to the All-Star game. From the people that I did listen to, it felt like there was a lot more positive buzz and momentum after the new revamped USA versus the world, almost in a way, All-Star game. Again, I didn't watch, not hating on it, not saying good or bad. NBA regular season coming into, or I guess not entering turn 4, but the most important part now of the NBA season. Here's where I am on the NBA. I'm a storylines kind of guy. I do enjoy the NBA. I don't enjoy it as much today as I did 8-10 years ago, a lot in large part due to the storylines and LeBron's dominance. But I do think it's important for the NBA to generate and create storylines for people like me, people like you, to get invested in, engaged in. Obviously, the Hornets being good helps too here locally. But I want storylines that kind of wow the average sports fan as the NBA starts getting into the most important time of the year.
Well, here's a wow storyline. You saw the video of LaMelo Ball crashing into somebody in downtown Charlotte. There's been a lot of videos out there over the years, Cole, last couple of years, and I've seen them all kind of smashed together into an edit of LaMelo Ball has a tendency when he drives out of the Charlotte Hornets arena, he takes a ride onto whatever street that is, and there's a street light like maybe 50 yards up the road. Whatever car he's in, he guns it and runs that red light every single time. And he's come close to getting into accidents in that intersection before.
I did see that.
And now it happens. It didn't happen in the same intersection, but still, I mean, this is a guy that is crucial to this team, and nobody has said, bro, stop doing that.
Yeah,
stop
slow
running
down.
red lights. Stop trying to gun it up to 90 miles an hour in your Lambo in downtown Charlotte. There's not enough room for that.
Some people think that they're just above everything. And maybe if I was a multi-millionaire, played for an NBA organization, hopefully I wouldn't feel that same way, but some do. All right, what else happening this weekend? How about the Genesis Invitational out in California? It feels like they've been out in Cali for the past month. I think they have, just because they are every year. They have to, right? Because
Cali.
the weather's not good enough here. The weather's not good enough anywhere yet, but California is where they've been. Diesel Genesis Invitational. Interesting from the perspective of Scotty Scheffler and others who are playing in it. I don't have a full list of those sitting it out, but I will say as we get closer and closer to April, every tournament, even though it doesn't mean more, it feels important because you are leading up to the biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list right now, and they're already underway. Most of these golfers are through a couple of holes. Some of them have finished 9 or 10. Akshay Bhatia out of the gate played well.
He was good last weekend, man.
T2. Tom Hogue is there inside the top 5. Sam Burns, I see. Let's see. Tommy Fleetwood is there as well. Rory McIlroy, T2 through 3 holes. So he's gone birdie through his first 3 holes. Max Homa is playing in this one. Sam Stevens, Ben Griffin.
That's the way it should be.
JJ Spawn. The big names are there.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And you said it's already underway at the Riviera Country Club out in California. We'll keep an eye on that one today and tomorrow. I believe, let's see, I think Matsuyama was favored to win it, according to Vegas. I think he was near the top of the list. Obviously, Scheffler was up there. Scheffler was plus 320. But Matsuyama, man, last I looked, he was plus 170. So
Scotty is set to tee off at 5:17 Eastern. So, 17 their local time. Jordan Spieth teeing off with him. Towards the back end of the thing as well.
All right, this weekend you have the Auto Trader 400 in Atlanta. For those NASCAR fans wanting to see one locally, you can do so on the 3.5 hour trip down to Atlanta this weekend after a really good Daytona 500. I have been to Atlanta. It's been a long time since I have. It's a longer track, if you will. After last week, I think there's a lot of momentum, a lot of drivers for a lot of teams, especially Michael Jordan, 23-11, and so much momentum right there. And I think talking about storylines in the NBA, how great is it to have that storyline? I know Michael in 23-11, they're not going to win it every week, but I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Michael Jordan's team being good matters a lot for NASCAR, in my opinion.
That'd be like Tiger Woods buying a NASCAR team, and Tiger's in the pits all the time, which how cool would that be to see the GOAT of the NBA and the GOAT of professional golf walking around the pits together all the time.
Tiger's so invested still in the game, though, that he played, right? He's still invested, maybe one day. And
he's
then
going to play in the Masters, possibly. Not
ruling
going to
it
play in
out.
the Masters.
And then I also saw, speaking of NASCAR real quick, I did see a video last night for Dale Jr. on his podcast. I do watch snippets of it. Dale Jr. has a race team, Diesel. They raced in the 500 last Sunday. They're mostly Xfinity. They raced some big races on the Sprint Cup during the year. But Junior, you're talking about a big storyline. This would blow up the entire NASCAR world. He said last night on the podcast that his wife brought it up to him that he should race, that he should run in next year's Daytona 500. So you talk about something that could maybe revive the sport for a weekend. That would be the biggest NASCAR storyline probably in 20 years.
Let's put Darrell Waltrip out there. How about that?
It'd be good. It just, you put Junior in a car though, man. Oh my gosh, be huge. And then lastly, what else happening this weekend from a sports perspective? College baseball, Clemson hosting Bryant, South Carolina, and the Salute to Troops weekend, which is awesome. They're hosting Army, Navy, and Air Force back to back to back. So there is your sports guide for the weekend, Tolos.
Tolos, have you heard this audio yet of Flau'jae Johnson's mom, who went off on social media in a video after LSU lost to South Carolina? This is a great piece of audio, and I want to ask you, who are your favorite sports parents? That's next.
Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
You know, I'm not saying that Flau'jae Johnson's mom is approaching LeVar Ball levels of insane sports parent, but let's be real. She's not that far off. Flau'jae's mom took to social media after the LSU South Carolina game that the Gamecocks won that Flau'jae missed 2 critical free throws that could have been the difference maker in the game to let everybody know that despite the fact that LSU didn't win the game, Flau'jae was the best player on the court. That she's going to get drafted before everybody on this South Carolina roster gets drafted, and that Flau'jae is just set up for life. She's winning in life. We're going to play a little bit of this. We're not going to play the whole thing, but here she is
great.
saying that Flau'jae is winning at life.
We have never beat South Carolina. Cool. But what is going on today, Flau'jae is beating South Carolina in real life.
Oh. But she didn't beat him in real life. She lost.
And no disrespect to them girls, no disrespect to Dawn. We beating them in real life. The whole goal is to go to the WNBA and get you a bag, right? Get you a bag and provide for your family, right? Flau'jae has already done that.
Okay. She's already rich. Everything's coming up Flau'jae.
That's an incredible piece of audio. The entire piece is even better because she just goes on and on and on because, like, this lady, nothing she says makes any sense.
Here she is saying that Flau'jae is the best player on the court.
Even in basketball, she is beating them on the floor.
What?
Y'all could go look at the stats. She beat every player on the floor that game. Let's keep it real.
Well, I mean, she didn't beat every player on the floor because she scored 21 points. So did Tessa Johnson from South Carolina.
I have no idea what. And she literally, if you're going to say she's the best player on the floor, the best player missed the 2 winning free throws that could have basically won them the game potentially. And like this is what's wrong, Diesel. This just goes to show what's wrong with parents of athletes. And I hope I'm not I don't care if I am. I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't care if I do. But it is just like it's all about my kids so much. And Flau'jae Johnson's incredible. She is awesome. But we didn't need her mom to tell us that. We know that. But this is what's wrong with these parents of these kids, man.
Yeah, she goes on to say that no South Carolina player is going to get drafted higher than Flau'jae. And depending on where you look, Hoops HQ has her going 7 to the Portland Fire. ESPN.com has her going 5 to Chicago. They've got Medina Okot going 10 to Indiana. Hoops HQ has Tania Latson going 9 to Washington. Like, who cares? Like that's 2 months away.
Well, the fact, Diesel, that she had to make a video about it to me shows that it did bother her. Yeah. Like you don't make videos about stuff that doesn't bother you. If it bothers you, we know it bothers you. It bothers her. I mean, if she was just quiet, okay, we wouldn't think anything about it. But it bothers her.
You've never seen the movie Training Day, right?
No.
So it's Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. Denzel Washington is a detective, but he's also kind of a gangster too. Like he thinks like he's the biggest, baddest dude in LA. And at the very end, he says, "Even when I'm losing, I'm winning." So that's exactly the same energy that Flau'jae's mom has here.
Terrible.
Support your kid. I got no issue with you supporting your kid, but to just gloss over the fact that your daughter missed the 2 free throws that cost them the game. And then to just change the subject, you lost. Be humble in a loss.
That is crazy.
It's okay.
Man.
If you want to come out and say, well, now she's going to work even harder. She's going to work even harder, and we're going to make sure if we play each other again in the SEC women's tournament that we're going to beat them. Fine. Do that. No issue with that whatsoever. But, hey, at least she's not full-on LeVar Ball.
Well, what I hate about it is sometimes the parents make you hate the kids too. Like the people didn't like the Ball kids because of their stupid dad. And like now people are going to hear this Flau'jae Johnson audio from her mom and think, oh, I don't want to pull for her. It makes it look bad in every situation and scenario. Well, I hate it.
Every team that faces her now is going to want to guard her extra hard. They're going to want to foul her extra hard. They're going to want to try to take her out of her game. I mean, that's going to happen.
Let me tell you this. There is nothing more that I want than South Carolina and LSU again in Greenville here in 3 weeks. I want nothing more. That is prime time, get your popcorn out, seeing it up close and personal is just even better. I want a round. Do I want the streak to come to an end? No. 18 wins is really, 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 really impressive in a row. But would I like to see it? Oh, you bet. I would love to see it. So, and we probably will. We probably will see it.
Chef says LeVar Ball was elite content. He just kept giving, right? He did. He never stopped running his mouth. He would talk about how great of an athlete he was. He had those ugly ass shoes that came out that kept falling apart as soon as they got wet. I mean, it was just, he was a never-ending content machine, but it never, ever, ever dissuaded him from talking trash.
And now, thankfully, we can actually talk about his son being good without having to bring him up. That's right. The best part of it. Diesel, we have to react in the very next segment. Heather Dinich of ESPN released her way too early college football top 25. She tweeted it out. It was gaining a lot of traction. People agreeing, people disagreeing. I don't know if we'll agree. We'll react to it, though. And Tolos, we want to know how you react to Heather Dinich's way too early top 25 in college football. That's next.
The Fan Upstate.
Well, all right, college football fans, we want to hear from you as we react to Heather Dinich's way too early top 25. But first, Diesel, breaking news during the commercial break. USA women's hockey wins gold medal at the Winter Olympics, defeating Canada 2-1 on overtime goal by Megan Keller. How about that for the USA?
What a play. 15:53 mark in overtime, a full length of the ice pass to Megan Keller. She goes between the legs of the defender and then a backhand wrist shot through the 5-hole of the goalie, and that is ball game. I like gold.
I wish we had the replay, like the replay sound of the goal, the call of the goal. We've got the TV stream,
and together with the help of Gwyneth Phillips
but no actual call. Man, I'd love to hear that call, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Of shutout time. Obviously,
a phenomenal
ton of help
shot
from their team as well. But those goaltenders, Erin Frankel was tested more today than she has been, and she was solid. She stood tall for her team. She helped them when maybe they were pushed back a little bit more. They were put on their heels, spent far more time in their defensive zone than they had yet this tournament. And Frankel was there, and she allowed them to get to overtime and get the winner.
Wow.
Suck it, Canada.
How about that, man? That's awesome. That is awesome. How about the USA getting a big-time win? Congratulations to the ladies. Glad to bring it home. Speaking of ladies, Heather Dinich, she is awesome at what she does, covering college football for ESPN. And if you just tuned in, college football fans in the upstate, we want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. We will ask you to hold your phone calls until 5 because the Tolo takeover is coming up at 5 o'clock. Chef gets in. Chef DRL on YouTube says, an hour into the show, and nobody's fired yet. Talking about Dewey. I know I'm with you. It is odd. But we will push the phone calls up to 5 o'clock for you, Tolos, where it's your opportunity to take over these airwaves. Last week, it was ChatGPT that got you going. We will let you call in and take over the airwaves 1 hour from now. We would love to hear from you on the text line, stream as well, 844-326-3663. Heather Dinich is way too early. Top 25, we react, Diesel. I love that she wrote this out on notebook paper, right? I mean, getting old school with it. But
how many pages do you think were in front of this one of like, oh, no, I don't like that one. Let me shift it around.
I'd love to see her notebook.
She doesn't have things like scribbled out, arrows going here and there. And
this
everywhere.
was her final edit, though. This was her final edit. She probably had rough drafts, right? All right, let's start at the top. We'll work our way down. The bottom is boring. Nobody cares about the bottom. But do we agree with what Heather Dinich, and again, I really respect Heather Dinich. She covers it. She's plugged in. She does a good job. I really like Heather Dinich a lot. Do we agree with her, though? Let's find out, Diesel. When it comes to the way too early college football top 25, number one team in the land, according to Heather Dinich, is Texas. The Longhorns, no surprise, bringing back Arch Manning, right?
Right.
And having Steve Sarkisian, a good coach.
Very expensive roster.
Very expensive roster. Do you think there are teams out there that deserve to be won over Texas in this? Now, remember, way, way, way too early top 25.
Yeah.
Right? We still are gathering information and seeing what these rosters are going to look like. But I do think for the most part, everybody probably agrees with number one. Am I right there?
I got no reason to refute it.
Okay.
I mean, all of these rosters are going to be very different from where they were last year. So
way different.
You know, like I know that we'll never, ever change the 1 through 25 system because it's phenomenal for debate, right? I think maybe the realistic way of doing it is having a group that we say, these are our tier A, these are our tier B, these are our tier C teams. And you got to make that demarcation line somewhere. Like this is our group of favorites to go win a national championship or make the playoff. These are the teams that might do it. These are the teams that probably won't do it. Again, we're never going to change it because this is far too subjective and open for debate. I mean, who knows if Georgia could be the number 5 team? They just had 2 linebackers get arrested over the past 24 hours.
That's normal, Diesel. That's normal. I mean,
that's the offseason.
It's just another day in Athens. What are you talking about?
Away quick.
What I do think is interesting about rankings now in this new era, and Diesel, we talk about like Phil Steele's magazines and all these other publications out there that we read and we use. I do think, though, that we learn so much. And I think we as fans, we as media, we have to learn. We have to understand what happened a season ago. And you know what? We're all in like uncharted waters, if you will, when it comes to this new college football and what it looks like with NIL and the portal. But I think what we all learned last year is, hey, rankings are great. Guess what? They make segments on radio shows like they are right now, but there's just more uncertainty, Diesel, today about these rankings than there's ever been because you have so many new pieces and you have so many guys that are unproven. Not saying that you can't say like, yes, Texas is going to be a good team, but LSU and Clemson and Penn State last year, Diesel, were all locks, like LOCK, all caps locks, to be in the college football playoff and in the Final Four, and none of them were. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as well as I do, top 25 lists, these way too early top 25 lists, they serve one purpose: engagement farming in the offseason. Got to get those Texas fans arguing with those Georgia fans. Got to get those Ohio State fans telling the SEC that they're overrated. Got to get the SEC fans saying, hey, Big Ten, we're coming for you next year. You got to have all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can't know. Now, Scratch has played out Scratch the last couple of seasons. And you and I both know it's going to be the teams that spend the most money on their rosters have the best chance, right? They're going to have the most talent. They're going to have the best chance. That's always been the case. And so, like I said, you got to kind of find these lines of demarcation and saying, hey, I think that number 15 Michigan is probably the lowest ranked team in the group of teams that I think could make a run to the college football playoff. Anybody below them probably going to be on the bubble. You could put an asterisk next to it and say, you know what? I really like this Alabama team, or I really like this Louisville setup. Because Jeff Brom just came out yesterday, I think, and said, well, there's no reason Louisville isn't a playoff team.
I don't have any reason to push back on Texas. Now, there are a few others that I push back on the stream real quick, checking in on the Tolos watching the show. Chef says, I'm having Canadian bacon tonight. That's a great idea. Yeah, screw the Canadians, right? Dan B says they are playing the Karate Kid song from the tourney. Nothing is ever going to keep me down. JB says, Tolo. What's up, JB? Tolo, back to you. Turn on, leave on. Chef says, not buying the Arch hype again. Well, here's my last thing on that Arch hype real quick. And look, it's February. We'll talk about Arch Manning 6,496 more times, Diesel, before football season gets here. But the Arch Manning hype, yeah, he had a ton of hype going in. I'm not saying you're wrong, Chef. He did have a tremendous amount of hype, but it's not like he wasn't good. He didn't start off the season great. We know that. But guess what? He was good for the majority of the 2025 season. Arch Manning was a good quarterback. So it's not like he was just Bonds the entire season, right? Did he start off great? No, they played Ohio State. We saw immediately off the jump that there were a lot of things Arch Manning needed to improve on. So, yes, there will be Arch Manning hype over the next 6 months.
Guess what? That's never going away.
No. Does that mean buy into it? No, but at the same time, I would also say I think he's going to be pretty good. I do. Do I think he's going to be his uncle no, but I think he's going to be pretty good this year, and he was pretty good last year. They just didn't have the year they wanted to from a team perspective.
The problem is it's not sexy to say the jury's still out. We don't know. Give it another year. Wait a little bit. We don't do that, right? The Sports Talk Radio, you want to make the declaration now that Arch is going to be the GOAT or Arch is going to be a bust. Like, you got to give it time. Last year was his first year starting.
First year.
And if we do it in the NFL now, right? If a rookie quarterback doesn't come out there and win the Super Bowl, all of a sudden that guy's a bust. And now we're doing it in college football as well. If a first-year starter, God forbid, doesn't go win the national championship. That guy sucks, and all the hype around him was bogus.
Eric Hines on the Joy Law Firm text line says all teams should lose their ranking at the end of the year and not get ranked until after week 1, not week 0. There's a lot of ideas on how to do the rankings. A lot of people say wait until week 6 or 7 or 8 before you have rankings.
Technically, there are no rankings, and I replied to Eric with this. Technically, there are no rankings until the CFP rankings, and the AP poll means everything until the day that it doesn't. The hilarious part, Eric, is that you assign this weight to a team based on a poll that we all know at a certain point of the season is going to be rendered meaningless.
JB on the YouTube stream says she should be fired for picking Texas first. The champ has to start at the top. Talking about Indiana. Well, where's Indiana? We'll
they
get
lost
to
their
them.
quarterback.
We'll get to them, right? That matters.
Why would they start at the top?
It matters, right? Losing your quarterback matters.
What's a different team?
Heather Dinich. This is where I did. What?
Yeah. I see it. I know exactly where you're going.
Oh, my God. Heather Dinich, way too early, top 25. We all kind of have no problem with Texas being 1, but Heather Dinich has Notre Dame at number 2.
Here we go again.
And the way too early top 25.
What are we doing here? Come on, Heather. Notre Dame.
Ooh.
Hey, at least they go to class at Notre Dame. Did you hear the audio of the what was he, a wide receiver, I think, who was at Ohio State last year, transferred to Notre Dame, and he said, well, the classwork is the same. The only difference is at Notre Dame, you actually have to go to class.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. Look, is Notre Dame going to be good? Yeah, they're going to be good. Freeman's a really, really good coach. Nobody doubts that. I think we all respect Marcus Freeman, but this is a team that didn't find themselves in the CFP this past season, Diesel. So we're saying from last year not making the CFP based on what basis do you have that takes them from not making the CFP to number 2 in the country? That's a big jump. Hey, you're jumping a lot of good teams in there too.
It's because they have that extra month of rest from not having participated in a bowl game.
Yes, that's why.
They got all the extra rest.
I don't understand it. Eric says, look, on the text line, he says, I'm just sick of all the hype going in, especially with NIL. I get it. I am too. Again, like I said, we should learn from it and learn last year that these rankings preseason and the AP, they're rankings. They're not the end all be all. So it is what it is. Leprechaun of Lyman Diesel gets in on the Joy Law Firm text line.
Who's
and says,
surprised that he shows up right now?
College football. He loves it. He loves the Leprechauns. He says, who? Number 2? I don't know that they're number 2, though.
Leprechaun of Lyman apparently has been traveling, and he has just made his way back into the upstate. So welcome back to the upstate, Leprechaun of Lyman. Where you been? You've been in Dublin. You've been where you been?
He did go on a trip. He did tell us that, though. He did tell us he went on a trip. I just can't remember exactly where. So good to hear you. We talk college football, and bam, here everybody is once again. They're all back like they never left.
Right?
But yes, Buckeye Mike brought up a good point on the text line as well. He said on the Joy Law Firm text line, he said Texas didn't make it either. Mike, you're right. Like, they didn't make it. Again, I don't think it all stems from Arch not playing good, but I still think at the end of the day, Texas is a good team. And I think they're a really good team because of what? Their quarterback. And I think for the same reason Heather Dinich has Indiana ranked number 3, they don't have their quarterback. So you look at just what the quarterback does to preseason rankings, it means so much, Diesel, because the number 1 team, according to Heather Dinich, has their guy. The number 3 team doesn't. Now,
well, I promise you, I'm not saying this to suck up to Buckeye Mike, but if we're going to put all of this stock in Arch Manning being back, and that's the reason why Texas is number 1, why wouldn't you do the same thing with Ohio State? Julian Sayan's back. His wide receivers are back. Why would you not put Ohio State number 1?
Well, she has them 4. Yep. So that's her top 4. Texas 1, Notre Dame 2, Indiana 3, Ohio State 4. And I think what's interesting about Ohio State at 4 is, yes, they are bringing back guys. Not this past season, the season prior when they won it all. They lost so many people from that team to this past season's team, right? Julian Sayin is coming back. Does Julian Sayin have the upside that Arch Manning has? A lot of people say no. I think Julian Sayin's a good quarterback. I don't think there's anything wrong with the guy. We saw that in the postseason, there were some things he struggled with, especially against Indiana, and a lot of people struggled against Indiana. But no, I think top 5, hey, as long as they're top 5, that's respectable. I don't have a huge issue Okay, here's where I do have an issue. I do have an issue with Notre Dame, too. I would flip-flop Indiana and Ohio State if it were my way too early top 25. I'd have Ohio State 3. I wouldn't have Indiana 2, so I wouldn't actually have Ohio State 3. But all I'm saying is, Diesel, I'd have Ohio State ranked ahead of Indiana for the simple fact that you just said they do bring the quarterback back. So I'm with you there. I like that.
If I had to guess without studying rosters of all 25 of these teams, I'd probably put Indiana somewhere around like 8. To be honest,
they're still top 10.
Without Fernando Mendoza, you just don't know, because Fernando Mendoza made everything go for this team. And I have full faith in Curt Cignetti and the guy that he brought in to be the quarterback again this year, but we don't know how good that guy is going to be. Like I said, I think the accurate way to do it is to say these are our quote unquote top 5 teams, but have them in no specific order.
Yeah.
These are the teams that we
That's
believe.
no fun, though.
I know,
you know
because then you can't argue that. Well, how come my team is not a top 5 team? What do you mean?
She has Georgia at 5. So Indiana, Texas 1, Notre Dame 2, Indiana 3, Ohio State 4, Georgia 5. That is the top 5 of Heather Dinich's of ESPN way too early top 25. Again, no problem with Texas, Ohio State, and Georgia being in the top 5. I like that. I would if I had to critique the top 5, I may slide Notre Dame from 2 to 5. I still think Georgia's going to be really good. I might have them at 4. I'd probably go, if it were just off the cuff, I'd go Texas 1, Ohio State 2. I'd go Indiana at 3. I'd go Georgia at 4 and probably Notre Dame at 5. Probably. I think Notre Dame is going to be good. But then you have okay, so here's the rest of her list. We'll react. We only have a few minutes. She had Oregon 6, Diesel, Miami 7.
Okay.
That's a big jump, or a big fall, rather, from where they were. A&M 8, Ole Miss 9, Oklahoma 10, USC, Southern Cal 11, Texas Tech 12, LSU 13, BYU 14, Michigan 15, Penn State 16, Bama. You had to go 17 spots in Heather Dinich's way too early top 20. She's going to be fired from ESPN with that Bama slander.
Paul
17.
Feinbaum's going to come in and dwarf her, cover up with his ears.
All right, stop me when you hear Clemson, by the way. 18, SMU, 19, Louisville, Iowa 20, Washington 21, Houston 22, Utah 23, Virginia Tech 24, and Heather Dinich has Boise State at 25. Now, there's some haws in there, right? There's some of those in there.
Virginia Tech maybe getting a little extra love, a little bump for the James Franklin, but hey, they brought a lot of transfers in and a lot of his Penn State recruits. So that's got to count for something. I don't understand Penn State being at 16.
I don't
Bama
at 17 is crazy.
I love seeing LSU at 13 because they are losing their minds down in the Bayou right now. There ain't no way LSU them Tigers should be number 13. Lane Kiffin gonna have the boys up there in the top 5.
Dan B says, where is the juggernaut Miami on this ranking? Aren't they supposed to be number 1 on paper film? They're supposed to be up there. They got a quarterback in, Darian Mensah, right? Big deal. But having them at 7, do I think it's disrespectful?
I think they're a preseason top 10 team.
Yeah, I do too.
I got no problem saying that.
Yeah, I don't have a huge issue with it. Again, we'll see how it plays out. But I think, Diesel, when you look at this list, half of them will be good teams. Half of them won't be in the top 25 when the season ends. That's just the way it is. And I do like, for the most part, what Heather did. I don't like Notre Dame at 2. We'll see if that holds, but maybe they are. Maybe Heather's onto something there.
I always love doing, we did this last year, Cole. You look at the preseason top 10, and you try to guess who's going to fall out of the top 25 at some point. Who's it going to be?
True.
It's going to be a lot of fun as college football 6+ months away, Cole. We got a long
6 months, baby.
Summer before we get there. But let's talk some college baseball. South Carolina Gamecocks, to be exact, with John Whittle of the Big Spur in the very next segment right here on the Fan Upstate. Well, the South Carolina Gamecocks are off to a hot start in the 2026 college baseball season. To talk about that, we bring on John Whittle of the Big Spur. John, big win for South Carolina against Wofford on Tuesday, and they followed up with that huge win yesterday. When we had Coach Maneri on a few weeks ago, he talked about how important it was for him to take his team on tour around the state of South Carolina. It's nice. It's fan service. It would certainly be cheaper for South Carolina to bring teams to Columbia there to play. As far as you've heard, John, is there a tangible benefit to taking the team on the road to play in Spartanburg and Greenville and Charleston and Myrtle Beach? Do they get extra ticket sales in that area? More fans wanting to come down to Columbia to see the team play?
Yeah, I mean, it's just different exposure to your team. It's a little something to sell on the recruiting trail, being able to go to pro ballparks and play and having multiple experiences of that nature. And, you know, it gives fans opportunity around the state to see you. You know, there's certainly some positive selling points to going around and doing that. That's something that, you know, all the coaches have really done at South Carolina. And, you know, that was part of the impetus of moving around the Clemson series as well.
John, my first question for you, a little bit of a format breaker. We're going to go back to our very last segment where we reacted to Heather Dinich's way too early top 25 in college football, her top 5. I want to hear your reaction as you cover South Carolina football. Texas was 1, Notre Dame was 2, Indiana was 3, Ohio State was 4, Georgia was 5. Do you have any issue with what you heard and you've probably seen from Heather Dinich and her way to early top 25?
Oh, Lordy, Cole, I don't know.
I know. Put you on the spot.
It's too early for him to think about it.
I know it's 6 months away. I know.
I don't know, man. I got no reaction on that one. I've got no college football in my mind at this moment.
When does your mind switch to college football? John, when does your mind, at what point of the year does your mind switch over to college football?
I'll let it get over there a little bit in spring practice. We aren't even there yet. So, but no, I mean, nothing really jumps out in me there.
John, let's talk about this Salute the Troops weekend coming up in Columbia. Army, Navy, Air Force all coming to Founders Park. How did that whole thing come to be? And, you know, there's a common opponent, obviously, in Army having played a series against Clemson that the Tigers swept. Can you actually gain much insight about how good this Gamecocks team is relative to how they perform against a team that the Tigers swept?
I think you're usually a little too early to draw too many conclusions. You know, I was just looking at the pitching rotations that have been sent out, and I was looking forward to seeing the guy who Army threw on Friday night against Clemson, that kind of flummoxed them a little bit, and see how South Carolina did against that guy. But he's not pitching for Army against South Carolina. They're throwing a guy who threw 1 1/3 innings and walked 4 and has a 20.25 ERA on the very young season. So, you know, that piece of it I was kind of looking at to see, you know, how South Carolina matched up with the guy who was so good against a team that's also really good in Clemson. So that was a little bit disappointing for me. But, you know, I think so much is just game by game. If it were a series against Army, I think it'd be a little bit easier to measure up. But, you know, just one game, I don't know how much you can draw in comparison.
John, I'm going to ask you this question multiple times throughout the season, and I know it's real early to ask it, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out there one time. I'll ask it again maybe 2 weeks from now, but 4 games in, does South Carolina miss Jake McCoy yet? Obviously, we know the answer, big picture, but the tangibles. Have you seen anything that makes you think, if they had Jake McCoy in that situation?
No, I mean, not yet. I mean, you'll probably see it a little bit more when you get into SEC play, and you know you need the big arms like that. You know, South Carolina is you know, you don't necessarily need those arms against lesser quality opponents. You can throw a guy out there who's, you know, 90 or 91 and you know, get through it. You know, you don't really see it just yet. But also you have to plan for losses, for pitching losses too. So, it can't be an excuse that you have throughout the entire season. You got to adapt and move on. And South Carolina should have Alex Philpott back for the start of SEC play, and that's another big time arm that you get back. He's a mid-90s kind of guy, starting pitcher kind of guy, and they'll have to manage through it from there. So you keep everybody healthy, you get Philpott back, and keep everybody else healthy. You can't really get too upset with too many injuries.
John, no surprises here. Two veterans of this Gamecocks roster, KJ Scobie and Talmadge LeCroy, off to hot starts, hitting .444 and .333 respectively. Another guy that's been around, though, for a while, Bo Hollins, not off to such a great start. I mean, I know obviously in the preseason he was injured, but what do you think's going on with him? Is he just not seeing the ball well, or is he just going to take a little extra time to catch up from that preseason injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mainly just not playing ball. I mean, not only is he 1 for 16 at the plate, he had a bad error over at first base, and he was over there routine play and just couldn't find the bag, couldn't get his feet sorted out. And, sometimes that happens when you're away from the game for so long, and he hadn't been practicing, hadn't been playing, until the eve of the season, and sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of get things back. For you. So I don't know. I can't. He's not playing well right now. I'm not going to write him off. I mean, he's just got to keep going, keep putting in the work in practice. But the guy they threw out there yesterday, Will Craddock, TL Hanna guy, he was certainly really good up there, and doesn't look to me like he wants to let go of that job.
Talking to John Whittle right here on the Fan Upstate of the Big Spur, 247 Sports. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter, on X, at John M. Whittle. Let me ask you this. You brought up something interesting when I asked you about the lack of, or not the lack of, but not having Jake McCoy. How do you think coaches on the staff and across the country, John, evaluate pitchers knowing that they're not playing the toughest, the stiffest competition right now, right? You said it, and then you're going to get the series with Clemson, right, where you'll find out a lot more, and then you'll get into SEC play, then you'll really know what this staff is capable of. Do you think, like, I don't want to use the word difficult, but do you think in a way it is difficult for coaches to analyze just where these guys are in terms of their progress because they truly haven't seen them go up against the best competition yet?
In some ways, but it's so much about execution and just going out there and being right with your pitches, being right with your tempo, being right with your demeanor. Obviously being right with the strike zone and where your placement of your pitches are. Like if you're going out there and executing what you do best, like I'm not saying it's going to work at the same level, but it when you get into SEC play and against big time competition like a Clemson or North Carolina in the midweek later in the season. But if you execute at the same level, your results should be pretty good if you're a talented pitcher. Now, if you're not a talented pitcher, it ain't gonna work. So, most of these guys are talented enough to go out there and get outs. It's a matter of going out there and being able to repeat and do things over and execute in those moments. And that's the way you have to look at it right now when you go against teams that are of lesser competition. And, most of these guys did a pretty good job. I thought Northern Kentucky did a decent job of hitting mistakes. Northern Kentucky especially did a good job of hitting mistakes. And those are things that you can't get away with regardless of whether you're playing, a mid-major quality opponent or a ACC caliber or SEC caliber opponent.
John, I asked you this question a couple of weeks ago when we had you on about the state possibly voting to make all NIL rev share payments private for the universities in South Carolina. Well, now that's hitting a little bit of a snag. Majority Leader Shane Massey out of Edgefield said that he was not aware that public dollars were being funneled into athletics programs, and he was not okay with the thought of public taxpayer money being then made private and redistributed. What can you tell us the latest on this and how that sort of changes things for this law?
Well, you've got more information on that than I do. I'm glad that you guys are great national perspective guys and love that stuff. I do a better job of covering the Gamecocks than I do some of these other things. I don't know the latest on that law. I do stand by what I said last week in terms or a couple of weeks ago in terms of I think those things should be kept private until the NCAA makes a rule where everything has to be public. But it is what it is. It's a competitive advantage or disadvantage. I'll relate it to South Carolina. Like South Carolina basketball NIL. The administration asked this past season, how much, asked Lamont Paris and that staff, how much money do you need? They gave them a number, and it just wasn't in the ballpark of what other SEC schools are paying other teams. And, that's a failure on South Carolina's part to recognize what other schools were doing. But that's a part of the reason right there why teams and programs and things want to keep those things quiet. And it is what it is. And if South Carolina has a state law that puts you at a competitive disadvantage, that's not good for South Carolina. That's not good for Clemson. That's not good for Coastal Carolina or anybody else.
John, the rotation this weekend for the Gamecocks, probable pitching rotation, Riley Goodman, Amp Phillips, and Brandon Stone on the mound for the Gamecocks. When you talk about SEC play, man, and kind of going back to my last question a little bit, a very, very small sample size. But from a fan perspective, if a Gamecock fan sees this starting rotation, here's you and I and Diesel talking about these three guys. If you were to look into your crystal ball, do you think 2 months from now, when we're in the heart of SEC play, or even a month from now, you can still expect to see Goodman, Phillips, and Stone out there? Obviously, you talked about getting guys back, and that's big, but which one of these do you think will falter? Not meaning like drop in performance, but if you had to replace one with somebody else, which of these guys would you expect to see go first?
Well, I mean, and it's not necessarily a knock on him, but I think Brandon Stone is a guy who is more versatile than some of the others. And ideally, going into the season, they wanted Brandon Stone in a relief capacity, being able to use him and in a long stint or a short stint or wherever they could plug him in where they needed a guy. So I think he's probably the one that you circle. And, Alex Philpott is the one that you probably look at in terms of going in. But Josh Gunther has pitched great, and Alex Valentin has pitched great. And, and it's possible that any of these three guys can falter if I'm being honest and get removed from the rotation. But I think Brandon Stone's the one that probably fits best, perhaps in a different role. It could do a little bit something different. And there are a couple of guys who could go in there, but I wouldn't say anybody's definitely in there for the long haul. Do you think the coaching staff was positive, negative, neutral on what they saw from Amp Phillips, the South Carolina Upstate transfer? I think they were okay with it. He got into a little trouble in the one inning and, got out of it okay without too much damage. And then, motored on through his other couple of innings. I think the second inning he got into trouble. But, it's the first start out there. And, they were limited in pitch count to about 70. And, that just is it wasn't dominant, but it was okay.
John M. Whittle on Twitter is where you can find and give him a follow. John, we joked about this earlier. The news broke, I guess, earlier today that it's not off-season football in Athens, Georgia if players aren't getting arrested for automotive-related infractions. They just had 2 more linebackers arrested after a couple weeks ago. There was a guy that got arrested for kicking indoors. Maybe this is a bigger question, big picture question, but why do you think it is that we hear so much coming out of Athens, Georgia, with just a lack of responsibility with these players, yet you don't hear a ton of it? And I know we heard just a little bit, the player for South Carolina that got thrown off the team for drugs, a week ago. But is Shane Beamer just that much better at having his program buttoned up than Kirby Smart is? Well, I mehave I don't know that the Columbia Police Department is, overlooking, crimes like some of the ones that, Georgia players have been arrested for. I think those Georgia players probably just think they're a little bit more
invincible than the South Carolina players. And, it's hard to hide a rest, especially nowadays. So, it's just seems like something going on within the Georgia program that's not going on in other places. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, John. Of the
John.
Big Spur, John Whittle of the Big Spur. Always a pleasure having him on, and always appreciate his time.
A lot of fun. Cole, there's so much going on with South Carolina athletics, obviously with the women's basketball team on that run. It's going to be fun to see what happens in the SEC women's tournament coming up. You're going to be there. Hopefully I'll get a chance to be there as well at Bon Secours Wellness Arena, which is undergoing some big time renovations. If you haven't heard, $140 million worth of renovations. This story just came out on WSPA 7 earlier today. It's not buried under a paywall, but like the Greenville News story is. So you can go check that out. And your taxpayer money is not going to go to fund it. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Something else. It is going to be pretty, though. It's going to be nice.
It's going to be real nice. Expect them to start putting a lot more big events in there.
Yeah.
Part of it includes that new 7,000 seat outdoor amphitheater out back.
Love it. Cannot wait for it. Diesel, we've got to get to our Daily Wires, the top headlines in sports. That's next.
Strap in. We're going full throttle. Grip it and rip it, baby. Yeah.
You're going wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, Tolos, strap in for this weekend of college basketball. There's some good ones in the works, maybe not in Columbia, but around the state and around the country, some big games. What are you going to do? What are you going to open up and be sipping on during those games? Well, hopefully you'll go by your local Ingles Markets and hit up their beer and wine section. It's okay to drink wine during college basketball games. They've got a great local and international selection of beers and wines, and some stores even have wine experts on staff that will help you pick the right wine to go with whatever it is you're having. And usually that means something out of the meat department, whether you're grilling steaks, burgers, chicken, fish, they've got all of it. And they've got that sign over the meat department that says best meat in town. And they mean that because they only sell USDA Choice and Prime, the top 2 grades of beef. And of course, why not pair that with a delicious little tasty treat over from the bakery? Cakes, cookies, muffins, donuts, even apple fritters. Their apple fritters are amazing. They smell so good every time you're walking by. Grab a box of those the next time you go in your local Ingles. You'll thank me for it. Ingles, where you get low prices and love the savings.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash.
Damn, what was that?
That was weird. John just dipped.
Wednesday, East Tennessee State
I don't know what.
I didn't ask a question that sounded like it was the end of the interview.
In the conference.
I have no idea.
Dropped 3 in a row.
Somehow he must have just interpreted something weird.
Tigers now 10-4.
I don't know if he.
James Madison 67-65 winners on the road at Coastal Carolina.
I
South
don't
Carolina
know.
State,
He must have
NC
just
Central 85-72.
He must have just thought we were getting close on time.
79-74. Women's basketball, Winthrop over Presbyterian.
I don't know. I've never heard him doing that.
He just dismounted.
I don't know if he.
What did I ask him about? What did I ask him?
Kirby Smart.
Kirby Smart and the infractions.
App State
65-64.
I'm Chuck Sanders on the Fan Upstate.
Why? Any chance to dunk on Georgia would be a great thing, right?
Good question. I don't know. That threw me off. I was like,
he's not a Georgia fan, is he?
No.
In the Upstate, we value 3 things.
I don't know if he
Our
just
faith,
only
our
wants us to ask
families,
on the
and our
baseball or
history.
what, but
when a storm hits, the outer
I don't know.
towers show up with a truck and a
I
sales
figured he'll
pitch.
text
But when
me,
you've
maybe.
built a life here, you
Tell me-
want a name that's built to last. Since
I don't know.
1935, that name has been Gilstrap.
Good question.
At Gilstrap Roofing, you aren't a claim number. You're a
That
neighbor.
is weird.
Don't
Well, okay,
trust your
John.
home to a storm chaser.
That
Trust
is
the family
weird.
that's been over your head for years. Gilstrap Roofing.
Like we're 4 games
locally
into the
owned,
season.
3
It's kind of hard to ask
generations
15
deep.
to 20
Online
minutes
at
worth of questions.
gilstraproofing.com.
When we're 4 games, 5
Comes to
games
the
into the
best
season.
sports talk anywhere. Listen to the Fan
He didn't
Upstate
sound like
on
overly
Auto
thrilled
Zone,
about it. I don't know.
In the car, at home, at work. Download the app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate, and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate.
Ready to relax, recenter, and
I'm not gonna
renew?
say anything.
Spa Via Day Spa is now open in Greenville on Woodruff Road right next to Whole Foods. Step into a resort-like retreat with therapeutic massages, advanced facials, body treatments, and more, all personalized and affordable. Enjoy plush robes, aromatherapy neck pillows, soothing waterfalls, and a cup of exotic tea. Every
that was
detail
weird.
designed for your relaxation. Discover luxury and
was
wellness.
What do you
at
think
the
about this football ball. I have not thought one bit about football.
SaviaGreenville.com.
Maybe
That's
yeah.
What do you think about all these players getting arrested? I don't think about that.
Too much for your auto loan? Here's a
Bruh,
sign you
I
don't
guess
want to
he-
miss.
I don't know.
Go
Maybe it
right
was
ahead at MTC Federal.
I don't know.
We'll beat your current auto loan
I
rate
think
by
it was probably just
1.5%, or give you $200 to move
Oh,
your loan to
crap.
MTC Federal. Either
Word.
way, you win.
Fan Upstate.
It is time to go around the sports world, Diesel, and take a look at our daily wires. The buzz that's happening all around the sports world. First, we go to, where do we go first? Let's see here. Let me scroll up. Sorry about that. Charlotte, North Carolina. You mentioned this earlier in the show. Charlotte Hornets point guard LaMelo Ball was not injured, thankfully, after being involved in a two-car crash downtown Charlotte on Wednesday. According to a person familiar with the situation, multiple videos have surfaced since then of LaMelo allegedly speeding out of the Hornets parking garage in various vehicles, just blowing through red lights. Yeah. Thankfully, he was okay, Diesel, but they are back in action tonight hosting the Rockets.
The angle of the crash is kind of hard to see, right? Because LaMelo's car is going left to right. The other driver is going right to left. Looked like they were converging in an intersection. I don't know if the other driver was trying to turn left.
Yeah.
LaMelo didn't see it and just blew right through it. Or maybe the other driver turned into LaMelo. We really can't tell from that one particular angle.
Arizona got back, number 4. Arizona, mind you, got back in their winning ways on Wednesday by defeating BYU 75-68. How about double overtime last night? What a game that was. The Clemson game ended. You flipped over. Alabama, Arkansas. Diesel, Alabama defeated Arkansas 117-115 on Wednesday. Both teams are now 9-4 in league play. Big win there for Alabama and Nate Oates. It looks as if Clemson may finish the season, maybe unranked, after their third straight loss on Wednesday to Wake Forest by a score of 85-77. The Tigers now 10-4 in league play. Clemson will host FSU on Saturday at noon. Speaking of overtime, Diesel, Team USA Women's Hockey just took gold in Italy, defeating Canada in overtime. Big win there for USA. How about that?
Yeah, they're all happy getting their medals. Team Canada looking so sad. Like, just mail them to us. We don't even want these things. And then, Switzerland has to show up in their jerseys. They're not even playing. They got to show up and take their medals as well.
Well-traveled quarterback Jaden Rashada has settled his lawsuit against former Florida football coach Billy Napier and a school booster, according to court documents and Rashada's attorneys. Remember, he sued Napier and the Gators booster back in 2024, claiming that both men defrauded him by backing out of promises for name, image, and likeness, a contract worth as much as $13.85 million.
So what is the result of the settlement? Did he get money out of him? Did he get nothing?
Don't know.
Okay.
You have to ask the lawyer. Four-star Michigan quarterback Peter Bork decommitted from the Wolverines. He told ESPN's Pete Thamel on Tuesday. Bork, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Bork, a 6'5" passer who plays at Massachusetts Tabor Academy, is ESPN's number 9 pocket passer and number 130 overall prospect in the 2027 class. He verbally pledged to Michigan. Since August, Bork reopened his recruitment amid fresh interest from other Power 4 programs and a staff change under first-year Wolverines head coach Kyle Whittingham.
I guess he just really, really wanted to play for Sharon.
Yeah, maybe so. That's what it was. In Washington, how about this, man? The Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks are officially for sale. The Paul G. Allen estate, which has owned the Seahawks since Allen died in 2018, announced Wednesday that it has commenced a formal sale process for the team in accordance with the late owner's will.
Is that the same guy from American Psycho? That Paul Allen?
I don't know, but you can buy them if you want them. They're for sale.
I got 20.
They might give them to you.
How much money could the Tolos scratch together if we had to?
It'd be tough asking. The Genesis Invitational began earlier today. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the weekend. Show today and tomorrow. Ludwig Aberg was the previous winner.
As of right now, Sam Burns, Akshay Bhatia, and Rory McIlroy tied for first at 3 under. Colin Morikawa, Bud Cauley, Yotan Vegas, Ryan Gerard, Max McGreevy, and Aaron Ray are T4
big
at
names
2
up there.
under.
Really big names. I like it. Not a good night for Furman last night. Furman fell at home on Wednesday to ETSU by a score of 78-69. The Paladins now 17-11 on the season, 8-7 in SoCon play. Also last night in Spartanburg, Wofford defeated VMI by a score of 82-76. Terriers now 18-10 on the season and 10-5 in league play.
Wofford's peaking at the right time. I like their chances in the tournament.
Playing well. Speaking of Wofford and Furman, the two will meet in round 2 on Saturday, 7 o'clock in Spartanburg. The Terriers won the first matchup 74-70 back in January. That was a game which Furman led until they didn't close to the end. Pulmonary and the Gamecocks now 4-1 on the season after a 12-2 win in 8 innings last night over Gardner-Webb. Salute the Troops weekend in Columbia begins tomorrow with Army, Navy, and Air Force in town.
Love it.
Clemson hosting Bryant. The Bryant
Bulldogs.
That's right.
Yeah.
That series beginning at tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tigers 4-0 on the season. It was announced this week that in addition to enshrining 10 more legends, the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame will also honor 5 individuals with special awards, one including the great Teddy Hefner down in Columbia, the other including NFL official Rick Patterson, who will be recognized with the prestigious Felix Stock Blanchard Citizen for Sports Award, a product of Cherokee County. Patterson was a quarterback at Blacksburg High School and later a wide receiver at Wofford College. After graduating in 1980, he began a 38-year career in banking just 2 days after commencement, having declined an opportunity to enter coaching. And last one for you. We talked about this. No surprise here. Typical Georgia fashion. 2 more football players have been arrested on vehicle-related charges. Linebackers Chris Cole and Darren Hugeman have both been arrested on reckless driving charges. Those, you like that?
Kinnigbon?
Sure.
Maybe.
Good.
That sounds close.
Yeah. Those are your daily wires, Diesel. We had to tell some Tolos just during that segment that we can't take their phone call right now because
it's time for the Tolo Takeover.
That's
as
right.
we do every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Tolos flood the phone lines. We have 8 phone lines, as a matter of fact. Get in now. Become a part of the Tolo Takeover. 844-326-3663. It's your chance to grab a hold of these airwaves and twist. Next.
to the courts and the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
In the studio, we're watching the women's half-pipe ski event. I think these are the finals, not really sure. Trying to get Cole out there doing this kind of stuff.
I'm on the way. I'm on the way.
Let's get you some lessons. Let's get you on some skis. 2030, Cole, you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
In the Olympics. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. 844 fan phone 844-326-3663. As it is every Thursday at this time at 5 o'clock, it is your opportunity to take over these airwaves. Say what you need to say on the phone. That Bing Bong is calling Dan B to get into the show. I love it.
I'm just clicking everything.
Is that a weed eater or a chainsaw?
Chainsaw, baby.
Chainsaw.
We're cutting it down. I don't know. I just started clicking buttons.
Okay.
I
didn't even know you had all these.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Ready? Here we go, Tolos. It was last week. It was Chat GPT that got the conversation going. We have to dig deep today and see what the conversation is that gets everybody.
Yeah.
What's the hot button topic today, Tolos? At 844-3263. By the way, I don't know who it was. I get so distracted. I didn't even finish the phone number. I have such bad ADHD. So bad. I'm sorry. 844-326-3663. I apologize. I don't know who called during the Daily Wires. Whoever it was, if you will, call back. We'll get to you during this segment. I had to quickly, call back at 5, but they're open now. So I don't know. And here's maybe what gets everybody going, Diesel, is there might be a problem on today's show. 2 hours in, now more than 2 hours, there is no sign of Dewey.
Oh, my God.
No text.
Arrested? Dead? What do you think?
No stream comment. Not one. And usually by now on the stream, I don't know, I hope he's not dead, but that's the Thursday, the Tolo takeover question is Dewey alive? Is he breathing? I mean, what's more intriguing to you? Looking for this Nancy Guthrie lady or looking for Dewey? I don't know. There might be something to say. Now, Dewey might not get the publicity that Nancy Guthrie's gotten, but I think on this show he would. We'll see. We've had Harold. You remember Harold?
Disappear on us.
People disappear. And here's the problem. When you Tolos disappear, man, it worries us. Where are they? We don't know where they put them on a milk carton, I guess, right?
I'm going to make a proposal, Cole.
I thought you were married already.
No, not to you.
Oh.
Not to you. Have you seen the video of the women's ski event where I think it was a cross-country skiing event where a dog got out onto the course and made the run across the finish line? Why, when the Olympics needs all the publicity that they can get, why don't we add dog sledding to the Winter Olympics? That is a long-standing mode of travel in the icy, frigid areas of the world. People
I was
going to
say, what is the sport? Not a sport, but like the old movies where the dogs, the Huskies, were pulling. Isn't that a thing?
Alive? No, that's the soccer team crash.
No, where they're pulling people behind them. You know what I mean? Like the big Huskies, and I don't know exactly.
There was Togo. There was Snow Dogs. The Call of the Wild. Balto. Iron Will, 8 Below, The Great Alaskan Race. There's been a ton of movies about sled dogs.
So why isn't sled dogs in the Olympics?
It's probably the Nancy's that are like, it's dog abuse, it's animal abuse. Those dogs. First of all, this is what these dogs are bred for. I see it all the time when I'm downtown. In the summertime, there will be people out there with Huskies walking in like 95-degree heat. That is dog abuse. To have hairy dogs that are supposed to be in Alaska walking up and down the streets of Greenville, South Carolina in the summertime. But you know full well that these dogs would be so well taken care of. And again, this is what they are bred to do.
There's a lot of people that get upset when us duck hunters use dogs, because I've seen comments before from Karens. You brought up Karen. Dogs being in the cold, like labs, Diesel being out in the cold, icy ponds. You think that's criminal as well? I mean, I'm with you. That's what they're bred to do. I don't have a problem with it. There's a lot of duck hunters who take these dogs to freezing or below freezing temperatures, and the dogs are retrieving birds out in the cold water, swampy areas. I mean, are they cold? Yeah, they're cold. Is it dog abuse? I don't know. Is it? Do you think it is?
That's what they're for. That's what they're for.
So you say no?
No, it's not dog abuse. These dogs are going to be incredibly well fed. Because let's be real.
I'm talking about the duck hunting ones.
Oh, okay. Are they being abused by having to jump in cold water?
Yeah.
No, that's what they're for.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's what these dogs are for.
Let's go to the phone
It's their
lines.
biological imperative to jump in the water and find a duck that you just shot.
I'm with you. I agree with you. But some Karens out there say no. They disagree with you. Dan B wants to start things off on the Tolo takeover. What's up, Dan?
I don't have much. You told me to call.
Who told you to call? I didn't tell you to call.
But we tell everybody to call every
When did I tell you to call?
Takeover.
When you bing bonged, you said that's the call to get
Oh,
Dan.
gotcha.
Oh, so you just heard it and bing bonged, or did you call because we said bing bong means Dan should call?
Both.
Wow. We're just like Pavlov's dog training Dan B to call in. Did your mouth water a little bit too?
But you have nothing to say, Dan?
I don't know. Where's Dewey? There's something.
That's what I'm saying.
Dan just called to say he had nothing to say.
Tom and Rick to call in and.
Oh, they're behind you. They're
Tom's
behind
on the
you.
phone.
They're on. They're going to you. Dan, appreciate you, man. On the Joy Law Firm text line, Diesel texter from the 803 says, can't call right now, but can we talk about athletes going to represent the United States, but then get over there and talk crap about the U.S.? Just stay over there. What I'm missing? What happened?
There was one. You may be thinking of a different athlete than I am, texter. There was one. It was like an American skier, I think. He was he was asked a question about what's going on in the U.S. politically, and this was a couple weeks ago. And he was like, "Yeah, bro, like things are just kind of weird in America right now." And he was really chill about it. So if there's something more than that guy that I don't know about,
no, I hadn't heard about this. I have not heard about it. But I mean, for the most part, I think I agree. You know, everybody wants to complain, but you know what? We've had different presidents from two different parties now for how many years? I mean, it's America. I mean, this is, people act surprised and upset and butthurt about it now, but it's been this way forever. So I'm with you. If you don't like it, there are other options out there. Let's see here. Do we go to Somerville, Diesel?
Yeah, let's go to Somerville and ask Tom's opinion on this latest text. Tom, a texter says most duck hunting dogs are smarter than the vast majority of kids these days. Agree or disagree?
Hey, am I on the phone?
Tom, you're live.
You're live.
Hey, guys. Sorry, the service is messing up. I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know if it's the Russians or what, but all day, I've been trying to watch this women's hockey game, and it just kept getting interrupted. The phone calls kept getting interrupted.
Who do you have, Tom?
Did you pay your cable bill?
Yeah, everything's paid. Everything's paid.
You have Verizon or AT&T?
I have AT&T.
I do too.
Well, my AT&T's been rock solid all day. I don't know what you're
Something
talking about.
wrong with Somerville, man.
Yeah, but to answer the question, Diesel, you missed it. What was it?
Texter says that most duck hunting dogs are smarter than a majority of kids these days.
You can replace kids with just people. I mean, there's some kids that are smarter than most adults out there. But, I just really wanted to call and say this, shout out to the USA women's hockey team. That was phenomenal. That was a great hockey game today. If you haven't watched it, watch it tonight. Hats off to the ladies. I haven't watched much hockey in my lifetime, but I'll tell you, the last 2 weeks of watching that team I've never been more proud to be an American, watching that team beat Canada the way they did. That was incredible. So hats off to the ladies.
Is that going to convince you to watch more hockey, or are you done for 4 more years?
I've been watching the men's team too, and I want to get into hockey. I do. I like watching hockey. But one of my buddies was telling me that the rink is smaller for the Olympics.
Oh.
And so they're able to move, it's more enjoyable to watch because they're playing. It's like an illusion. They're playing at a faster pace because the rink is smaller. The size of the ice is smaller compared to the NHL or something like that.
I didn't know that. I really didn't.
Yeah,
really didn't.
But I'll say this: that I don't know the name of that women's goalie, but she was phenomenal that whole Olympics. And, Chipotle was running a promo where every time they scored, you send this code to Chipotle text line. And I swear, I'm the first person to get that code and text it. And every time I text it, I miss out on the free Chipotle bowl. So that's my gripe of the day, is how come as soon as they put it out there, and they were giving out 5,000 bowls per goal. So I'm thinking I'm going to get some free Chipotle and get some free seed oils. And sure enough, every time I send it in, I miss it by I don't even know how many.
Try again next time. Hey, here's one to throw at you, Tom, real quick before you hang up. Not only for you, but the other Tolos out there. Last week it was Chat GPT that got everybody buzzing and stirring. Here's one for you today. In the 4 o'clock hour, we had John Whittle on. Big Spur, right? We love John. Big deal or no deal? Big deal or no deal, Tom? Did you hear the interview with John earlier today, by the way?
I was not able to hear that yet.
All right, so there is a chance. Big deal or no deal? I want you to tell us here. I'm trying to find the audio. We just had John on in the last hour, and usually this is how things go in the interview. Hey, John, appreciate you hopping on with us, man. We'll talk to you next week. Well, it didn't go that way today. Here's the audio. Big deal or no deal, Tolos out there. 844-326-3663. Let's find it right here, Diesel. Here it is.
It's the first start out there, and they were limited in pitch count to about 70, and that just is it wasn't dominant, but it was okay.
John M. Whittle.
So here's the last. Let's set the scene. You asked the last question, right? And you asked about Georgia. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
For South Carolina, but program buttoned up.
So here's the answer. Here's the answer. Here's how the interview ended.
Especially nowadays. It's just seems like something going on within the Georgia program that's not going on in other places. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Thanks, John. Big deal or no deal, Tom? You go first.
I'm going to have to re-listen to that interview because I'm so confused.
He basically ended the interview instead of us ending the interview, Tom.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I asked him about these 2 Georgia linebackers that just got arrested for messing around in cars again. And I was like, why is it that keeps happening at Georgia, but it doesn't happen at South Carolina, which seems like a great opportunity to dunk on Georgia. And then he answered the question and just said, well, okay, guys, we'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Big deal or no big deal?
We'll go big deal for right now.
What did I do?
I don't know.
What did I say?
I don't know. Tom, appreciate the phone call, man. T-Experience next. T-Experience, you answer the question, big deal or no big deal when a guest ends the interview unexpectedly?
It's a big deal. It's a big freaking deal.
What did I do? What did I say, T-Experience? Did I say something wrong?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, what did I do?
What's up, T-Experience? How are you, man?
What's going on, guys? It's T-Experience taking over on this wonderful Thursday, people. Man, 2 things real quick. Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl because we're going to get Tyreek Hill, and he's going to be our number 1 receiver. After he recovers, that's my overreaction, even though it's not, that day. That's my overreaction for the day. It's Thursday. I don't care. And Chicago Bears, if they move that freaking stadium to Indiana, that's just dumb. Things that should not happen. Kansas City should not move. Chicago should not move. Just renovate the stadium. Come on.
So you're saying, T-Experience, if your Buffalo Bills get Tyreek Hill, which it seems like you might land at I don't want to say a big name team, maybe a reunion with Kansas City, but you're saying if y'all get Tyreek, that's enough to put the Bills over the edge with Joe Brady now as a new head coach.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't hate it, but there's just something, man, about the Bills. They hadn't been able to get it done. And I don't know if it was McDermott or what the problem was. I hadn't been able to put a finger on it, but hopefully you're right for your sake. I don't know that he goes to Buffalo, though.
When I was a teenager, I think I was maybe 15, probably was even younger. I cried in the first Super Bowl when they lost to the Giants.
What about the second one they lost?
What about the third one they lost?
Or the fourth one?
See, what had happened was
you know what Bill stands for?
Say what?
You know what Bills stands for, right?
What?
Boy, I love losing Super Bowls.
Ah, yeah, I heard that one. Okay, all right. So what do y'all think about Kansas City staying in KC and Chicago moving their stadium to Indiana, to the state of Indiana?
I think Chicago needs to be – isn't that the Windy
They need to
City?
lose their franchise.
Yeah, like that's kind of the whole point of them being in Chicago, isn't it?
Exactly.
I love downtown stadiums. I think it's a huge mistake.
I do. They're not – there are not many downtown stadiums anymore.
Was Soldier Field a dump? Like, I've never been there.
I hadn't either. It must be.
No,
do you know?
Some renovation, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, renovate the freaking thing. I mean, I know Buffalo. You're a Bills fan. Y'all are building the new stadium, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Did it move?
It'll be ready for the upcoming season.
Well, I'm saying, did it move far away from the original one? Is it still nearby?
No. Just across the way. No, not at all.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I like
Thanks
that.
to the experience.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call, man. I don't know. I mean, I do, like big city stadiums are hard because it's big cities. There's not a lot of room.
Real
I get
estate's
that.
real expensive.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said about big city stadiums, the nostalgia. It's
Yeah.
neat. I miss it.
I mean, I'll bet you when Soldier Field was built, like 300 years ago, that it was on the edge of downtown, and downtown Chicago has crept and swallowed it up. If they tear it down, they're just going to build another soulless, lifeless high rise in its place, and it's going to suck.
I'll tell you what,
completely
man,
ruin it.
The view, though, you know how like the old Turner Field, you had, the high rises in the background, right? There are now Charlotte's one, the Panthers.
Well, the
Panthers are one of them that have that beautiful view in the background.
If they were able to get a major league franchise to Charlotte, and I know that would rub a lot of old school Braves fans the wrong way, and you'd never ever become a fan of the Major League Baseball Charlotte whatevers, right? But from that Knights Stadium, the skyline behind center field in Knights Stadium is incredible. I would say do whatever it takes, spend whatever money it costs to tear down the apartment buildings in a 3-block radius and make that be the Charlotte Stadium, because you are not going to find a better setting than that for Major League Baseball in Charlotte. You're not going to find it.
Yeah, but I just think there's something about NFL stadiums having that, like the Panthers have that. They have that, Diesel. When you sit in the end zone, you can see the beautiful city behind it. I don't think there are many other franchises left like that. The Dallas Cowboys, where they're located? The Dallas Cowboys, they're located in Arlington.
Right.
The stadium's not in Dallas. So I miss it. I love it. I think the skyline to T Experience's point, I don't want to see a move to Indiana. That's for sure.
If you've never seen this, Cole, look at the stream. This is the view from the Charlotte Knights baseball stadium. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been.
Why would,
That's great. I
don't
that.
know if Charlotte will ever get a major league franchise, but that's the place it's got to be.
I don't know, though. I don't know if that setting, that picture beats Chicago. Now, the problem is sometimes you can't see it. Like if you're in the stadium from a drone shot, you can, but there are very few that you can actually see.
Well, what good is a view if you can't see
I know, but you can't, the stadiums where you're sitting, it's tough. It is. A lot of fun, though, Tolos. Appreciate you, as always, at 844-326-3663. Diesel, let's keep it in the NFL. What are the biggest NFL storylines that interest you, that interest I, that interest the Tolos as we head into the month of March? And then, hey, the month after that, we have the NFL draft. But what are the biggest storylines right now? We'll talk about it.
Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, we're going to get into a little NFL. There's also some breaking news in the NBA. We'll get to that as well. And Tolos, I don't know, should we get to this one caller who's late to the Tolo takeover? Diesel, like 26 minutes late.
Yeah, well, schedules matter, right? If you were waiting on a flight and it was 30 minutes delayed, you'd be upset about that. If you expected your train to arrive in the station and it was 26 minutes late, you couldn't tell your boss that you're interviewing with, hey, sorry, it's the train's fault. So I don't understand why we should let Dewey on the air at all. He knows the rules.
Dewey. Let's maybe it should be left up to the Tolos. JT and Greer, by the way, says Pittsburgh Pirates Stadium has a pretty awesome view of the city. Another texter got in and said the old Yankee Stadium skyline has the beautiful correction center just behind left Yankee.
So I guess here's how we're going to decide this, Cole. We need the first texter right now at 844-326-3663 to tell us if we should let Dewey join us.
I know what that's going to be
for the Tolo takeover. 26 minutes late.
That's going to be just a big fat
yes or no. Yes or no, should we let Dewey on the phone? And if the first one is no, we should hang up on him.
Oh,
what do you think?
That's brutal.
Hey, rules are rules,
that's
man.
Brutal.
Without rules, we're animals.
We're animals. Let's go to Dewey. I caved. Let's go to Dewey.
You big softy.
I'm a softy for Dewey. What can I say? I love Dewey. What's up, Dewey?
I wouldn't have been fair because there's been times where Madcraft's been late and Tom in Somerville's been late and Rick and Greer's been late. So that would not have been fair.
Well, Rick and Greer can never be late because I don't think Rick and Greer knows what time or day
Can't tell
is.
time. You can't be late if you can't tell time.
Oh, that's true, too.
And Dewey, don't you ever say another bad word about me. I caved for you today. How about that?
And you should also feel good because we got 5 texts instantly. 3 out of the 5 said, yes, let Dewey on the air. But the first one did say no. And that was from Corn Chip, by the way.
Well, 3 out of the 5 is the majority. So, yeah.
What do you have to say to Corn Chip?
Yeah, Corn Chip.
Corn Chip said no Dewey.
Well, who cares about Corn Chip? Who names their kids Corn Chip anyways? You should be ashamed of yourself when you name Corn Chip. I'm gonna name your kid Cheerios. My nickname's gonna be Cheerios or macaroni and cheese or something. I don't got time for that.
What do you have time for today, Dewey?
But anyways, I've been doing community service today. But that's why I've been late. I've been raking leaves and getting all sudden it's hot outside. So I got to get my tan on and get my Speedo on and get ready for the springtime.
Dewey, it's February. There's no leaves to rake.
Well, there's still leaves.
Okay. Anyways, what?
But anyways, I was going to say Clemson is not going to the NCAA tournament. You seen last night they lost to Wake Forest.
Yes, they did.
That's a travesty.
Yeah, they did.
Brad Burnell should be ashamed of himself. Now, all the excuses about them being tired, and that was pulmonary, but I think Brad Burnell told them about their team was tired because they went out west. Well, it's time to get it together, or else you're not going to make it to the NCAA tournament. And I'm going to say it right now: they're not going to the NCAA tournament.
Are they an NIT team?
Yeah. They'll probably go to there, and Brad Burnell probably like, no, I don't want to go to the NIT. So they're gonna sit that out. They're gonna be one and done in the ACC tournament, and they're not even gonna make the NCAA tournament unless they can turn it around and get it together. But you losing to Wake Forest, that's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I agree. It's
no arguments there.
It's not a good loss. There's no doubt about that. We talked about it in the first segment of the show, Dewey. I've always wondered something, Dewey, and this is really random, but I have always wondered because you have a unique voice. This is an important question. Can Dewey sing?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
That's not singing, though. That's not singing.
Right.
Can you sing like Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On?
My heart will go on. I don't even know that song. I can sing Madcraft's song. Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole. Best for a show on the radio.
When he said best horse and the second word started with an S, I thought he was going a different direction.
Dewey, thanks for the call.
Gosh, thanks, Dewey.
I do have this on the sound bar. What is this? It's titled Dewey Birthday. Was he wishing you a birthday? Do you remember this?
No. Who did he?
Let's listen.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday. Your underwear smells. Happy birthday to you. Oh.
Who was that to? Was it? I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
Now we need to know. We need our Tolos to text in on their birthday so they can get a Dewey birthday song.
Oh, my gosh. So it's funny you say that. There's this guy on TikTok that looks like he lives in the trailer home behind the advanced auto parts back here, right? Okay. He does these custom raps, and he's really famous on TikTok because he does these dumb custom raps for people. Like you just send him $25 and he does this custom rap with your name and he like disses you. It's like a roast. Yeah. It's funny. So maybe that's the new bit is Dewey does customizable birthdays. Can you imagine having your kid, your 4-year-old, you bring him in and instead of
No, that's child abuse. You can't have Dewey. You cannot tell Dewey your kid's name. That's wrong.
Can you imagine the birthday party? And
do you really want to be known as an accessory after the fact, Cole? No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want that smoke.
That's a pretty good idea. Let's see. John Dog on the Joy Law Firm text line says, has Madcap been back on since Miami lost? No, he has not called back in. It has been MIA since Miami lost. Let me get to this new news here real quick, and let's react to this. So, breaking news during the last commercial break, Diesel, Adam Silver has informed the league's 30 general managers that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next season.
Oh.
Immediate reaction to that? Good, bad, neutral? Do you like tanking?
No, tanking's terrible. I think any team that doesn't make the playoffs should automatically get an equal percentage chance to get the number 1 overall pick. That's the only way to stop tanking.
And I guess like the lottery, the way it's designed, it's kind of like without tanking, correct me if I'm wrong here, without tanking, the lottery was kind of designed for teams to have a equal chance, maybe, the bad teams. But you're saying what teams?
How many teams make the NBA playoffs? There's 30 teams, right?
There's 30 teams and 8 teams from each conference make it. So 16
14 don't.
That's right. I believe that's right. 16 teams get in.
So whatever is 100% divided by 14.
Yeah.
Is the number chance you should get. I mean, not like
of the teams that don't. Yeah.
So you'd get a 7.14% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. Everybody who doesn't make the playoffs goes into the lottery.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. And I think you brought that up a couple of weeks ago. 16 make it.
Yeah.
14 don't. You're saying divide that 14. Yeah. I mean,
and then like maybe if you get the number 1 overall pick, you have to forfeit your 2nd round pick. Maybe now, I don't know. I mean, that's the only way to make it fair. Because what if the best team who doesn't make the playoffs gets the number 1 overall pick? I mean, that's still a good thing, right? I mean, that takes a team that's right there on the edge and adds an elite piece immediately. I think that's the way it ought to be because the system, the way that it works, and it's the same in the NFL, it kind of unfairly punishes the best team that doesn't make the playoff because it puts them in the middle of the pack. And you know that the best players at every position group are going to be gone by then.
Now let's hear how they're planning to do this. The league's office conversations, Diesel, with stakeholders from the board of governors, competition committees, and GMs have intensified dialogue after this tanking, right? And that's a big word.
Intensified the dialogue.
That means we're talking more. Okay. Big words make you sound smarter.
Talk louder. Me talk louder.
Multiple sources with the knowledge of today's meeting, Diesel, have been reported that these concepts have been reported that these were discussed to curb tanking. Let's see if we like these or not, okay? This is how you curb tanking, according to the experts in the meeting today. Number 1, first-round draft picks can be protected only for top 4 or top 14 plus selections.
What does that mean? I'm already confused. What? I'm looking at the same thing you are, Cole.
Yeah.
There's 7 bullet points, 7 if-then scenarios for how to pick this. Dear God, NBA, the answer to an overcomplicated draft system is not overcomplicated even more. It's simplify. Simplify the process. If I need an algorithm and a physics degree to figure out who gets to draft number 1, your rules suck.
Yeah, I think they're like when you talk about not allowing tanking, there's got to be some pretty stiff rules in place in my mind. So, again, it reads first round draft picks can be protected only for top 4 or top 14 plus selections. You're right. That's confusing. Now, I'm assuming it means when a team trades away a future first round pick, they can add conditions, protections, right? That say like, hey, we'll only send you this pick if it falls outside of a certain range. So top 4 protected. If the pick lands in the top 4, Diesel, the original team keeps it. Top 14, lottery protected. If it's in 1 through 14, going back to your point a little bit, the original team keeps it, right? Which I'm with you. It's kind of confusing a little bit. Number 2, lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or on a later date. Now, I like that, don't you? The lottery odds freeze so that there's no like, hey, we have the trade deadline to figure out how my organization can tank in order to get a better draft pick. I'm on board with that one.
Okay, yeah, I got no problem with that.
All right, no longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes.
That one makes a lot of sense. You
think
can't
so?
Continue to tank year in and year out. Now, if you finish in the bottom, like you could get moved to whatever X position, 5, 6, whatever that number is, but you can't pick inside the top 5 2 years in a row.
All right, next reason.
Top 4, excuse me.
Diesel teams can't pick top 4 the year after making conference finals.
Well, you wouldn't be picking in the top 4 after making the conference finals, right? Or are they saying the next calendar year after that? So if you go to the conference finals, let's say in 2025, you suck in 2026, you can't then have the first.
Yeah.
You can't have a top 4 pick in that 2026 draft.
The previous season.
Yeah.
Not allowed to receive a top 4 draft pick the next year.
So you can't win big one year, shut it down the next, just so that you could add an elite piece in that next draft.
Okay. That's like extreme tanking though, right?
Yeah,
like
that's real extreme.
That's real. I guess I'm okay with that. Next, lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. So you can't just, again, talking about extreme, right? Extreme tanking. They're going to look at the lottery odds based on what your record's been the last 2 years. Next, lottery extended to include all play-in teams. Play-in teams that are trying to get into the NBA playoffs are included.
I think the play-in team should have the best odds.
Better odds.
You're right there. Obviously, you're not good at like play-in teams are usually what? They're the middle of the pack, right?
9, 10.
Yeah. So there you are. Your incentive is to be good enough to be a play-in so that you win or lose, you still have one of the best chances to get a high draft pick.
Okay.
The next year.
I'm with you there. The last one, flatten odds for all lottery teams.
Okay.
In closing, Silver, the NBA office and the league's 30 top teams executives shared a desire to have ongoing discussions to safeguard the integrity of the sport. It was reported that Silver was described as forceful, Diesel, with this message. So he was I think he rolled a gavel.
He said, if you don't do what I want you to do, I will bite you on the neck and turn you into a vampire also.
He did.
Because he looks like a vampire.
He did. Wanting to attack the problem that has gained steam across the league in recent weeks. He did talk about it in the All-Star break as well. And look, I get it. I do understand it. Now, this is funny. Earlier Thursday, Phoenix Suns owner Matt Ishima sounded off on the issue and called tanking much worse than any prop bet scandal.
Really? Really?
The owner of the Suns said, no. This is worse than prop bet. So
meanwhile,
this is how
he
big
calls
of an
his
issue.
accountant says, get rid of all the bets. Now, stop doing it. Scrub my history.
But here's what's interesting. Last week, the NBA fined the Jazz $500K. They fined the Pacers $100K, which is nothing to it, right? Saying both teams, Diesel, sat players, healthy players in recent games, and noting that moves that compromises the league's integrity won't be tolerated. So, I mean, I'm with it. There shouldn't be tanking. If we can figure out how to eliminate it, I guess I'm all for it.
I do like the thought of any betting scandal that's investigated by the league results in an automatic forfeiture of top 5 draft pick status for X amount of time. That puts it on the team to follow its players, to monitor its players and say, you better not do anything that hurts this team from a gambling standpoint, or we're going to lose our top 5 draft status in the next 5 years. You can't do it.
Some feedback on the Joy Law Firm text line real quick. Texter says, this is Brian. Hey, Brian. I think the best way to stop tanking is to do a snake draft. That way each spot is pretty equal, kind of like you do in the NFL. What do you call it? Fantasy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So you could draft 1 and then 60?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Texter from the 239 says, let's see, or at least, this is still Brian, or at least do a snake draft just for the teams that missed the playoffs. Don't hate that. Texter from the 561, this is JT and Greer. He says, make the 14th team have the best chance to get the first pick.
Yeah.
And the 30th team, the least chance. They play hard all season.
That's a proposal, JT, that I've been putting out there for a while for the NFL. The best team that doesn't make the playoffs gets the number 1 overall pick. So even if you're a bad football team,
you still have reason.
You still have reason to try to win football games so that you can, effectively.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
My only question with that, I'm just asking, putting it out there, would that just keep the bottom dwellers at the bottom though?
Well, the idea I've heard a lot of people say, well, wouldn't that incentivize a team that's at the bottom, like the Panthers, for example, this year, they snuck into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that convince them to tank down the stretch to make sure they don't make the playoffs?
I think, yeah.
But you're talking about 2 positive goals. No matter which way you go, you either make the playoffs,
or
you get all that publicity and extra conversation, or you get the number 1 overall pick.
I would rather make the playoffs. That's just I want to make the playoffs. Texas from the 803 says Adam Silver looks like a Q-tip about to fly away. He does, doesn't he? He really does. Like that, not being mean.
He looks like a balloon that you let all the air out of.
He does. It looks.
God,
he doesn't look human.
Right,
it just doesn't look. It's like the snow that you're going snowboarding next week. The fake snow. Can you tell a difference, by the way, in the fake snow? Oh,
definitely. It's got a chemical in it that makes it freeze at a warmer temperature. So
that's what Adam Silver looks like. He looks like a fake human.
Yeah.
Now, is the Olympic snow, is that all real, by the way?
I have no idea. I genuinely don't know. I mean, they're up in the Italian Alps, so it's much colder there.
I know before one of the Tolos fusses the TV right now, Diesel, the snow falling. I know that's real. I know the snow falling's real snow. I just didn't know if they had to mix in some fake snow.
In case you're curious, in Milan proper, it's 40 degrees.
Okay.
In Cortina, Italy, up in the mountains where they're doing all these events, it's 25 degrees. So it's plenty cold up there.
All right.
Cole, when we come back, I'm glad that you mentioned the Olympics, and I'm glad you mentioned people that look like aliens. Snoop Dogg had his card declined at a restaurant in Italy, and the way that Snoop Dogg got out of paying his tab is amazing. We'll talk about it next. Big day for USA in the Olympics. The ladies hockey team took gold by beating Canada in overtime. We were watching that game live as it was happening. America also took gold in the women's singles figure skating, and we took silver in the men's 1,500 meter final speed skating.
Love
event.
it.
That's going to be big. That's huge for us to catch up in the medal standings. Tomorrow's going to be a big one as well. Canada versus Finland in one of the semifinal games. And then Slovakia versus U.S. in the other semifinal game, Cole. So think about this. It could be Canada versus U.S. in the men's finals as well as what we just saw in the women's finals. So we could have a chance
take it
to kick their butts twice. That would be
Let's do it.
A lot of fun. Tolos, this is fun. Like, Cole, you travel a fair bit more than I do. A little more international travel than I do. Have you ever had a problem with your debit card, credit card not working?
No, knock on wood until now that you say that. Of course I will.
Well, I mean, I guess these companies are getting better and better at tracking international travel. You tell them you're going somewhere and they just let it go through.
Well, and you don't even have to tell them now.
Oh, you don't have to tell them anymore?
No.
Oh, that's awesome. How do they know?
I don't know.
How do they know that you're traveling?
They probably know everything.
Apps on your phone, maybe,
Yeah,
I guess. Well, something went down with Snoop Dogg, who was in Italy for the Olympics. He tried to pay for some chicken wings, pizza, and some beers on his card at a local restaurant, and it wouldn't go through. It just wouldn't go through. And obviously, Snoop Dogg is not broke. Snoop Dogg's got a ton of money. He ordered a cheeseburger, chicken wings, chicken nuggets, and French fries at a gastropub in Livigno. Well, they couldn't run his card. I think they probably knew who he was. Like, oh, that's Snoop Dogg. He's a famous guy.
Yeah, you would think.
But the restaurant owners were cool, and they said, Snoop, don't worry about it. Your check is on us. Go ahead. So what does Snoop Dogg do? He gets the restaurant owners a couple of really coveted tickets to the men's Super Pipe finals, which is hard to get, I guess. And the restaurant owners, they were all about it. So was that a fair trade though for what was probably, I don't know, maybe like a $100 tab?
Not a monetary fair trade, right? It wasn't fair when it comes to the money, I'm sure. I mean, the ticket's probably a lot more, but you know what? That's what you do for people. When they take care of you, you take care of them. And
also, they were smart enough to realize that this would be international news.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, their restaurant, for the cost of $100 of cheeseburger and chicken wings, they get this international news that they are taking care of Snoop Dogg.
That's a great move.
It's a great move.
Great move. Now I want to go there.
And I hope that, see if you can get some free cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
I hope that, in these Olympics, as a lot of people are traveling and maybe other countries don't have the robust banking systems that we have, that if people's cards are being declined, not going through, a lot of these restaurants are like, it's fine, man. We'll take care of you. I know that you're traveling internationally, and I know that money is hard. We got you. Don't worry.
Just taking care of it. Just a free world you live in. Everything's free. Taking care, kind of like New York City now. Everything's free. Tolos, let's dive back into the college football conversation that we had earlier, reacting to Heather Dinich, the top 25. Let's revisit that. What do you think about it next?